Whether it's a long bed farm truck
or short bed show truck,
the 67 through 72 Chevrolet C10s are some of the most iconic trucks in the world.
Stay tuned for our take on this supercharged classic.
Project Cream Puff coming at you. Welcome to Music City Trucks. Well, we're doing something a little bit different today. Day one of a new project, and we're gonna thrash this thing out here at Beach Bend Raceway Park at the Pro Touring Truck Shootout. This thing out here at this shootout, it's kind of like a fish out of water. We're kind of the most stock truck right here out here with these guys.
And one of the longest.
And one of the longest, yeah. I think it should be a real fun time. This poor thing, you know, we have stressed it out, the engine, the tires, transmission, but I think we got everything out of it. You know, we got a lot of room for improvement.
So what do you say we get this thing back to the shop, get working on it, because I'm excited to see what this thing can become.
Yeah, we can really turn this thing into a fast truck.
Yeah.
All right, that looks good. Well, hey guys, welcome back. Well, we've been brainstorming a lot of different ideas and modifications that we want to do to this truck.
So yeah, let us show you our plan for this Super Cheyenne. So for our 72 C10, now this long bed, it's good for hauling lumber, but we plan on hauling some ass. So we're gonna go ahead and convert the long wheelbase to a shorter, more balanced, and better handling package.
Next, we'll get our chassis in the weeds by installing an air ride suspension that'll keep us hugging the ground when we roll around town. Then to power our beast, we'll shelve the small block for a modern, more powerful LS power plant. To keep cruising easy, we'll keep the automatic mindset with a stout 4L80 to handle the 427 cubic inches of fire-breathing fury.
To help us stop, we'll shed the factory disc and drum setup for a big brake kit. We'll surround our brakes with 20-inch wheels and 335s out back with 255s in the front. We'll give our interior a facelift as well as change the paint back to the original color with just a little added twist. All right, well now that y'all know the game plan on the truck, it's time to get it ripped apart. And that's gonna start on the inside.
Yeah, as you can see, old Peepaw's plastic here over our seat, well, it protected it. It's actually, you know, a really nice looking seat, but for our plans for this truck, it doesn't match. Let me follow you out.
Yep.
Oh, there it comes. I'm too big for this.
Watch your head. Yeah, it's coming.
All right.
Step down. Very nice.
Hey,
Oh, look at that. We got an extra. Look at
what
that.
in the world?
I bet you they lost it and they had to go buy another.
Look at the imprint there on the mat. That's been under there for a while.
All right. See, we found something.
That's something. All right, let's get this headliner off.
Do my best not to jack it up. Yeah.
Let me walk it
A
out.
little motivation. Oh,
Hey.
little. Definitely glued better on your side.
Well, see, what happened was my side was in the sun for all the years. I think yours was under the shade.
I like that theory.
All right, there she goes.
Oh, that looks like original color, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's our target there for that color.
All right. On to the next.
These door panels off here, these are the fancy ones. I'm not really used to these, but there. Bingo.
All right, you ready to get this dash pad out?
Yeah. This thing out here, let's see.
Couple screws.
So, of course, they got them hide this one right behind the steering column.
That's usually how it goes.
There it goes. And away we go. Ready?
I think it's ready.
Let's see if we can pop this thing up now.
Should come out a little easier.
Boom. There
All
it
right.
goes. All right, well, we got the dash pad, we got the seat, the door panels, the headliner, all that stuff we gotta get loaded up and take up to the upholstery shop.
Yeah, get them on it.
Well, today we're focused on the outside, get it tore apart before we can get some cool stuff bolted on.
And some of the coolest stuff that's going on this truck come from a little company called PB Fab. They're one of the OGs in the C10 air ride game, and they sent us over one of their front drop members along with their rear drop member and everything we need in between to get this truck sitting and handling right. But before we can do that, we got to get this thing ripped apart. Where do you want to start?
Let's get the hood off.
All right. Whoop.
Hey-oh. Don't scratch the paint.
Well,
Is this what they mean when they say use your head?
yes.
Okay.
It is. All right, where you at?
Almost there.
All right.
There it is.
Nice work. All right, where to, Haas?
Up. first.
Up, flat.
Down toward you.
Okay.
All
All right.
We need more power.
I need an extension. Oh, look at you. You're using your head.
You might want that one.
We'll take that.
No, let's loosen everybody first.
How's it going over here?
Oh, yeah.
No, looks
Just
good.
trying to get the bumper off.
Coming out. Very nice.
I don't know about you, but I think they intentionally designed this radiator as a tool and parts catcher.
It's,
You know,
it's good. I mean,
It's
great. It's a great socket holder.
Right.
Great, yeah.
but everybody got to put your tools right there.
I mean, there's no better spot for them.
Some reason they advertise them as radiators, though.
No.
I would put it like parts holder.
Holder.
Yeah.
Water-filled holder. Do me a favor, spin that bottom one, okay? Yep.
Watch the clip, watch the clip.
There you go. You got it? And away she goes. Ah, yeah.
You got your mop?
Actually, it's aisle 72. Drain and coolant is always messy. No way around it. Ooh. I guess if there wasn't any in it.
Well, we got nuts on some and some that are captive.
All right, we'll get the
we're gonna have
battery
to fight
off
this.
here. Might be a good idea.
Yeah. Third time's a charm, buddy.
Yay. All right. Ready?
Sure.
Alrighty. All right, next we got to crack open our AC system to get the radiator support off. What we've already evacuated the system, there's no refrigerant left in it. It was actually empty to begin with, so I actually put a little bit of vacuum, so I'm gonna spray some deep creep on these fittings to help loosen them up so we can break those loose. There, we'll put some here too. Oh yeah, break it right loose. That one, there's that one. There we go. Now the radiator support.
All right, off she goes.
Yep. Yahoo!
All right. This puppy's making like 2 manpower at the wheels.
Get it up on lift, get
Yeah,
that
about
bed
right
off
there.
there.
Going up.
Good.
All right, before we go ahead and knock these nuts off this bed here, we're gonna spray a little bit of this Seafoam Deep Creep. Nice little spritz here, and a little spritz there. It's gonna really help get this stuff off. All right, we are deep creeped and we're ready to rock and roll.
Of course she's gonna spin.
Don't let it. All right, 1 down. 3 to go. Whoops. We'll leave those there. How you doing over there?
Just busting some nuts off here. They need these bolts to be about a mile longer.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know why they didn't make them 15 inches. I mean,
You know.
you know.
Not only could you double nut these, you could triple or quadruple nut them.
I mean, I guess safety first. All right. Very slowly going down.
Bingo.
All right, ready for some separation?
Yeah, get it up there.
All right, I'm gonna try not to put it through the back glass. No promises. How we looking on wire situation?
Nope, you're all clear.
All right, you wanna go back?
Yep.
Forgot we got a long bed this time.
And that's all the hoist is gonna give us.
Are we clear?
Not of the bumper.
Okay.
Keep going. There you go.
All right.
We've landed.
Well, now that we got the bed off our old cream puff C10, we can finally see what we got to work with here. And you know, overall it looks pretty good. There is some rough welds there though on that exhaust system.
I mean, there's custom exhaust and this is just bad, but
Yeah.
it sticks together, but you know what? We're gonna get rid of all that.
Yeah, in the garbage it goes.
In
What do you
the
say we get
garbage
this
it goes.
cab off first?
Yep, get the cab off.
Let's do it. Well, we got the cab off, got the drive shaft out. What do you say we yank this thing out?
Last piece, let's go.
Let's get it. Look at that.
All right, watch your step.
All right.
Glad I put that pigment out there. With our powertrain plucked and more of a mess on the floor, well, it's time to get this thing stripped down further.
And the beauty of our Porterbuilt drop member over there is we can yank this whole cross member out in pretty much one assembly. It's gonna make our lives a little bit easier. So what do you say we get to it?
Bingo. Got it. There she
All right,
goes.
it's a wheelie machine now. Out with the old.
In with the new. With our old suspension stuff out of the way, well, now we gotta prep the frame for our new pieces. We'll finish it off with a little POR 15 to cover up the areas that aren't gonna see powder coat.
Well, now that we got that front end yanked out of our frame, we can go ahead and start installing our drop member. Now, before we did that, we went ahead and sprayed everything that's gonna get sandwiched between other pieces of metal with some POR 15. That way we're not gonna have to deal with any rust after we get this thing powder coated. The first step we're gonna do is install this upper hat. All right, now first things first is we're gonna go ahead and line up these 3 holes here with our top hat piece. And they've already got holes in it. We're gonna get it like that. Knock it over with a hammer. And we're gonna throw a couple bolts in that to hold it into place. All right, now we got those in place. What we're gonna have to do is use this as a template, and we're gonna drill a couple 7/16 holes where there isn't any in the frame. We may have to open up a couple more on the side as well, but we won't know that till we get there. So we'll go ahead, let's get these drilled up.
All right, now another cool observation you can see here, these points right here, that's where the factory upper control arm mounted, and now it's gonna mount up here. So that difference right there, that shows you how much it's gonna lower this frame and help our stance.
Gonna get nice and low.
Yep. Now we'll get our additional holes drilled.
All right, you ready to slap this bad boy up in here?
Yep. Get our drop member bolted up to those plates.
All right, how do we do that again?
Take your little bolt there to your left.
Short 1.25 in the middle first.
Short one in
right?
the middle. Now, torque down the middle one, 65 foot-pounds.
All right, I'll grab a torque wrench. All righty.
Oh,
Your turn.
You gonna do mine?
Yeah. I think you've got it. Now we're leaving these loose because there's going to be a plate that slides up underneath these and sandwiches, so. There it is.
Bingo.
Up next, we'll get the bag mounts on with our 1¼ by 7/16 bolts. Now, since we're getting this frame powder coated, we're not going to put the nylocks on at this point. We're going to save that till after it's powder coated, so that way when it goes through the oven, we're not baking the nylock off. 1 inner truss coming up. Very nice. All right, next up we got our inner truss support. Goes right here, and then you got 1 bolt that's gonna go through the motor mount as well.
If I had $1 million.
All right, now that we have all our bolts in and they're loose right now, we can go ahead and start tightening them. Now, Porterbuilt wants you to do it in a certain order, and that order is we'll go ahead and hit these 4 first, move to the upper hat, get these 8, and then we'll move to the frame, to the drop member, and we'll get those last 2 that we left loose. So let's get to it.
About time.
Thank you. Scott. All right, so we got our drop member in. It's all torqued, ready to rip. So we got our bushings pressed into our control arms, got our lower ball joint in, got our upper ball joint. We're gonna go ahead and get these installed so we can get our spindles on and then move on to the brakes.
For these spindles, we're going with Willwood's 2.5 drop Pro spindle. These things are super trick.
They really are. Those are nice.
Now this hub assembly is what makes this thing really trick, as it steps into the modern age, as most newer cars have something like this. These will help with our stance and steering geometry and allow us to mount our modern brake system. Yep.
All right, 100 foot-pound.
All right, to top off those spindles, well, we got this super nice brake kit from EBC. This is their Apollo series, and this one is a 15-inch diameter brake rotor, and that's gonna give us a lot more leverage than those stock brake rotors there. Gonna give us a real nice brake system. I'm gonna get this lug nut on, get this rotor flush with the hub. Then we can get our brake caliper here. This is also from EBC. This matches this kit. This is a 6-piston caliper, and it's filled with their Blue Stuff NDX pads. Couple bolts, and they're ready to go. All right, we're hard at work on our 72 C10 project. And last time, well, we got all of our new parts on this cross member here from Porterbuilt and topped it off with these brakes from EBC.
And to complement this beautiful drop member you see from Porterbuilt in the front, we're gonna put a drop member in the rear here. And that includes their step notches, rear frame rails, and it also sent us over their shortening kit that's gonna turn this from a long bed to a short bed. It's gonna get us in the weeds, but the first thing we gotta do is get rid of those trailing arms.
Yeah, I'm gonna get these some deep creep on these bolts here.
I think that'll do the trick.
To help break the metal surface tension, we're gonna use some Seafoam Deep Creep. Now this stuff is a good penetrant, but it also works as a good lubricating oil. Now these control arm bushings right here, we could shoot some on this if we're gonna use this in the future, because those bushings, well, I've actually had them fail on me and it created drive shaft issues with a 2-piece drive shaft in one of these units right here. So I'm gonna let that sit for a second and then we'll break those loose.
Look at that.
There we go.
Hello.
We're gonna knock this one out and it may
Be dramatic.
spring out.
May do some stuff.
See what happens. Watch your toes. 1, 2, 3. There it goes.
All right, with our trailing arms dangling here, we can start shortening this frame. Now, PB Fab, the first thing you gotta do with their kit is get rid of this cab mount and the front bed mount. Now, they're held on by rivets. We've showed you before how to get rid of those, but let us show you again. First thing we like to do is cut an X in those rivets, and it helps get them out of there. All right, with our X's cut, we can pop them off with an air chisel.
Some might think this is too long, but it's actually just right. Ain't doing nothing. Aha.
All right, I think it's template time.
All right. All right, the existing holes for the cab mount serves as a starting point for this template. So we've got the bolts in here. We'll get it all tightened down. And let's see here. Now we can go through and drill out the rest of the holes needed on that template. Landed.
Never throw it in dry.
With our template fully bolted into place, now it's time to get our cuts on. Got a little bit of life on my blade left.
What's that?
Well, we've got our section of the frame cut out, and if you remember, we're taking our long bed and converting it to a short bed. Now, I've talked to a lot of you guys, and you want to do that, but you're just kind of scared about cutting the frame, maybe hesitant. I don't know, Anthony, did you have any regrets about cutting this frame?
Any reservations? No. I say you cut them all. Every single long bed, make it short bed.
Right, yeah, if you can cut metal, you can cut this and make your long bed a short bed.
Yeah.
Now to complete this, we've got these brackets here from PB Fab. They're gonna slide right in here. We're gonna get some bolts in, and then we'll marry the two back together.
Couldn't be any easier.
All right, let's connect these two here.
Come on up. About an inch. A little bit more. Yep. More. Yep.
Bingo.
Yeah. All right, now that we have our backing plates in here from Porterbuilt, we can go ahead and start welding them in. Before I do that, I went ahead and clamped this just to make sure everything's tight, square, and true, and then we'll have a nice weld when we're done. Also, another thing I like to do whenever I'm doing a seam like this, whether it's vertical or horizontal, I like to have a little gap on a butt weld, the thickness of the material. So the gap should be close to the thickness, maybe a little smaller, maybe a little bigger if you can weld it, and then you'll be good to go. So let's go ahead and get this tacked in. Well, all right, now that we've got our chassis shortened and it's all welded up, we can start moving back here. Now, what we're gonna do for this rear drop member, first step, is gonna be putting this thing in. And what this is called a step notch. Now, basically all it is an oversized C-notch, which we did install in our 632 SS build. So you wanna go check that video out, you'll be able to see one. And all this allows us to do is get lower than a standard C-notch is gonna allow you to do.
Yeah, before we get these in, there's a few things we need to get out, like this cross member up front, it's got the shocks on it, and this cross member in the back. So let's get those rivets cut and get those knocked out, and then we can get these in place.
Right on. The old plasma cutter's looking pretty good right about now.
Well, get the thing out.
Okay.
Just torch it.
Let's torch it.
Torch it.
All right, what's the worst that can happen? Ready? There we go. All right, we got separation. All right, you want to go up with that lift there, Mike?
Here we go.
All right, that should be good.
That'll
All
clear.
right, you want to throw it in reverse? Beep, 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 beep. All right, get that out of here.
Back on the jack stands. There we go. All right.
Let's see if we can get this.
There she goes. Custom exhaust out of here.
All right, so now that we got our factory cross members out of here, we got a nice clean section of frame rail to work with, we can go ahead and install this step notch. Now, Porterbuilt wants you to line it up, locate it off the bump stop bracket here, right in the center of this. This is gonna mount directly over this rear bump stop bracket hole. Now you're gonna wanna scribe a line from the leading edge, so the edge closest to the front, and use a plumb bob to locate it up here. And that's gonna get you in the neighborhood. Now you gotta trim up the frame rail a little bit, but I think Mike's gonna tell you a little bit about that.
Yeah, the frame is too wide for that bracket to slide over. So what we're gonna do is just go ahead and cut a little bit out so it slides right over it.
Yep, get it on.
All right, so we got our notches installed on the frame, and we went ahead and attached the bridge assembly between the two to get it squared up. Now what we did is we took our level on the frame and made sure the frame was plumb, and then connected it up here, and as you can see, we're right where we want to be. Now the next step, drill the holes in the side here and get these attached permanently.
Got some hardware for you.
Perfect.
Need them little hands to get in there. And stir the mashed potatoes, right? Use my strong hand.
That's a good movie.
Yes, it is.
That's why I did that one first.
Yeah. I like it. I like doing things the hard way.
Here he comes with power tools. Reach around that nut.
Mike. Michael. With our notches and bridge bolted up and torqued, we can start cutting our frame.
Just needs a little persuasion,
Just a little bit.
like this. Perfect.
There we go. All right, now it's a true short bed. All right. Well, now that our notches are in, we obviously shed some weight in the back here, but we got to add it because we won't have anywhere to mount the bed. So we'll go ahead and get these frame rails that Porterbuilt sends with this kit, get these installed, and we're going to have a complete chassis once again.
All right, before we tighten these down, I made some preliminary measurements on our old frame rail from the ground to the bottom of the frame here. So we're gonna go ahead and check those because this has got a lot of adjustment in it. Let's see where we're at. Dude, that's within 1/8 of an inch right there. So
I can live with that.
yeah. I'm gonna use my old adjustable jack stand here. check that again. Oh, money.
I mean, it's dead on.
Very good. All right. Well, that piece right there, that's super clean. It ties up those rear frame sections really nice.
Yeah, I mean, this kit went together beautifully. Everything's square, everything fit. I didn't have to fight it. And I mean, look at the welds.
Yeah, they look beautiful. We've already tackled some of the stuff back here, but now we're gonna focus on the bed itself. Now, the factory long bed, you can take and section it, but that body line that runs from front to back, it makes that a little bit more difficult to do.
Or you can take the easy way like we did here and get yourself a bed in a box. Now, for that, we hit up Brothers and they sent us over everything that you see in front of me. That includes a tailgate, bed sides, wheel tubs, all the cross seals you need, and the front bed panel. It's EDP coated and it's brand new steel and it saves you a lot of time. So what do you say? You want to get this thing bolted together?
Do it.
All right.
There she goes.
All right, coming in.
Driver's side. Slide this in here.
Send her home.
There it goes. All right, hold on. Yeah.
Little self-tapper. All right, y'all buttoned up?
Yep, got all those tight there, got that front piece on. You know, it turned out really well, but
Yeah.
you know, you can spend a lot of time massaging these things and make it top show quality there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're building a show truck, you know, you could definitely put a lot of time into these beds. We're kind of going with the Cruiser, so you know what? We're just going to leave all that alone.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get that back piece on there and then we can square it up.
All right. Here, slide her in.
Let me get one started.
Yeah. You know, my wife always asks me, like, why I never look at when I'm, like, trying to do something, and I explained to her that you have to sometimes when working on these cars. Never look at what you're doing. Look the other way. All right, I got one in there, Mike.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What do you mean?
Don't look.
Don't look. You just got to do it by feel.
Imagine if you had both senses,
Well,
feel and
that'd
sight.
be too easy. I like taking the hard road. All right, you got those jack stands?
Yep. Yeah, before we tighten all this down, get these sides up off the ground, get the tension up off of it, and then check for squareness.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right, well, now that we got it up off the floor, we're gonna go ahead and check for squareness. Now, whenever you're trying to check for squareness, you wanna go from a fixed point from one end to the other end, something that you know is gonna be somewhat close on. This isn't gonna be perfect, but we're just trying to get in the neighborhood. Okay. We're at 104 there, Mike. 104 and a half, so that leads me to believe that it needs to go this way.
Yeah, go ahead.
It might be,
That was a bit aggressive.
That was a little aggressive. All right, we'll come back over here and kick it back the other way.
Happy tap.
Little taparoo. All right, 104 and a quarter. Make sure you pull your tape tight or else you're gonna get an inaccurate number.
I hate a limp tape.
No, you don't want a limp tape. All right, 104, a little bit more. All right, I'd say that's good enough. It's within a 16th.
Yeah.
You ain't ever gonna see that, so I think we're good.
Yeah, get that pretty good there. We'll tighten down all of them on the bottom, and then we'll get the tailgate on there. That'll really make a difference of the squareness of the back rectangle section there.
Yeah, and with this bed, since we're running a step notch, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna lift the bed floor up a little bit. So we're gonna have to do some fabrication and maybe we'll tie in the corners, weld some, you know, braces in there so that way it's locked in.
Yeah, we've got the wheel tubs. Now these wheel tubs, they're not the stock width. These wheel tubs are actually wider, so you know what that means.
Big old tire.
Big old tire.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right, well, let's get it tightened up.
All right.
We got the rear axle and the trailing arms all mocked up in place. For the rear axle, we went with quick performance on this Ford 9-inch. Now, this is something that they make specific for these trucks. We gave them the width measurement that we wanted and the pinion center line on our axle. For the third member, it's a 411 gear set. It's gonna give us a little bit more mechanical advantage. And on the differential, it's a Detroit True Track differential. For the axle shafts, we went with 35 splines that give us plenty of strength for that motor. Now, our truck was originally equipped with drum brakes in the rear, and we're gonna change that out and go with a disc brake setup as we continue the theme with EBC in the back here. For the pads for this, we're going with their blue stuff, NDX. Now, this is a step above their yellow stuff, so what this is going to do is give you the capabilities to drive on the street, but if you want to take it to a track day on the weekend, it'll survive as you throw it in the turns and get hard on the brakes there. So we're going to go ahead and get these mounted up into the 4-piston calipers and get this on, make sure all that's going to drive. All right, well that looks about spot on right there. So between the 13-inch rotors in the back, the 4-piston calipers there, we're really gonna improve the braking system on this truck.
Well, hey guys, I got a pretty cool product to show you today from Phytech. This is their Go Fuel Tight Fit Retro Kit, and what it is, it's an in-tank fuel pump assembly. It's gonna get that noisy pump off your frame rail and in the tank. It's gonna keep it nice and cool, and it's gonna get rid of all that noise for you. Now this features a 440 liter per hour pump that's rated up to about 1,000 horsepower. Now they also make a 255 and a 340 if you're making a little bit less power than that. Now this also features a nice billet top hat with parallel ports. It's gonna keep your hoses nice and symmetrical, and it's gonna look real good on top of that tank. Now these directly fit onto Tanks Inc.'s tanks, or you can retrofit them into any tank as long as it's 6 inches deep and not more than 15 inches. Now we also picked up one of their stainless hose kits that features 40 feet of stainless hose, along with all the fittings, the inline filter, and the check valve you're gonna need to get your EFI system up and running.
From airbags to air conditioning, we're upgrading a lot of areas on our C10, and it's not gonna stop there. We're gonna ditch the manual window setup inside the truck and convert it to a power window setup with this kit from New Relics. Now, the best part about this kit is it bolts directly into our stock door here. They provide everything you need from the wiring harness to the switches to complete your installation. And with over 500 applications in their inventory, there's odds are they're gonna have a kit for your make and model. And the best part, it's made in the USA. It comes with a lifetime warranty. So check out New Relics. All right, so earlier we showed you putting together our bed on the outside, but the inside, well, we got a lot of hole left to fill right here, you know?
We need something to drop down in there.
Yeah, so there's a couple of options from the factory. These came with a steel floor or a wood floor. And for that wood floor, well, we have Jeff Major here with bedwood, and he's gonna come down here and talk to us about some different options for a bedwood setup.
Yeah, thank you for having me down. Yeah, this is a really cool truck. I could see just right off the bat, y'all are raising the bed.
Yep.
So this is definitely not stock. Got rubber knee deep under it, which is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And so that tells me you're raising it, you're going to put wider tubs.
Right.
And so instead of being a stock application for this bed, this is going to be completely custom.
Right.
Which is not a big deal. And what we'll look at is see what all you do. Once you get that dialed in where you want it, then we can get those specific dimensions.
Okay.
And we're going to make the wood floor to fit this bed exactly like it is.
Perfect. So yeah, so you know, for guys at home, whether they have a stock truck with the stock tires, the opening, they can call you up and say, hey, this is my application. You can send them a part number that'll fit that.
Absolutely.
Or for this, like a custom setup, you can make that per spec to make it work.
That's exactly right. Like I said, we make product going with our retro liner brands for a truck with a metal floor. The real wood bed liner just goes right across the existing metal floor.
Yeah.
Or the bedwood brand, which is what started all this for me. That's for any truck with a factory wood floor. So we're going expanding from 2025 back to 1919.
Yeah, so this is
And
not
everything
just
in
for
between.
old trucks.
No, we can do this for any of them. And we do so many customs. And we do the OE. Somebody says, hey, I'm wanting this bone stock. Sure, we've got the part for it.
Perfect.
We've got the dimensions. We only use American-made steel and stainless for our metal, for our bed strips. We make all that in-house. All the wood is made in our shop. The product's made in our shop, shipped, finished, and ready to install.
Yeah.
And on a case like this, we're going to look and say, what do we want to do? We may want to put some flanges around the side to go around those tubs to hide the edge of that wood. Because after you get this floor raised, you don't want to see any of that.
Right.
No fasteners.
You don't see any fasteners because you're not going to be able to use your stock attachment points like you see at this crossbed.
Right. Now your truck has got a wood floor in it, right?
I have a wood floor. The way I did mine, though, I used plywood, and it took me a lot of hours to get right. I kind of wish I just would have called you guys up because it would have been a lot easier. I would have saved a lot of time and probably a lot of money in the long run.
Yeah.
But the finish, there's a lot of different options for finishes
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
a lot of different species of woods, a lot of different finishes. I think you brought us a couple of species, right?
Yeah, I brought some.
Different samples?
We got about 20 that we work with.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And then got eight different styles of bed strips. But then I picked a few things just to bring down. Y'all told me the colors you were leaning toward.
Right. Yeah.
So we brought a few things to look at to consider for it.
Right on. Well, you
And
want
see
to
what's
check
going
them
to
out?
match. Absolutely.
Let's go check them out.
Sounds good. All right, Jeff, I see some pretty pieces of wood sitting here on the table.
Yeah, after y'all told me about the build, I thought, well, let me bring a few samples down, and even though we got 20 options to choose from, I picked 4 that I thought may go with this.
Right.
And the first one I just brought, is a piece of red oak.
Okay.
It's got a satin finish on it. Not what I would recommend for this build,
Yeah.
but if somebody just wanting to freshen up the wood in their truck, I also want to get something on an entry level,
Yeah.
cost-wise, that's the wood they would want to go in.
You see a lot of red oak in trucks.
And you do. It's great American hardwood.
Yeah.
But there are better choices.
All right.
And then this one, this is a hickory. As you can see, we go good with the yellow and white paint scheme y'all are planning. You got some calico, you got some cream, very hard, durable wood, good American wood.
With the grain on hickory, sometimes it'll get darker, sometimes it'll get some streaking in there.
Yeah, you get a lot of character to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it
Really,
is nice
really
wood.
a neat piece.
Yeah.
This is our Phantom series. A lot of people have been asking for a gray. And while
nice.
it may not go good with that truck, it's just such a pretty wood. The way we do this, we use ash and
Oh,
we
it is
build the
ash.
finish on that. So you've got an extremely hard wood and durable wood as well.
Baseball bat material.
Baseball bat, you got it.
Louisville Slugger.
The little slugger. But the one I think is going to look the best with your paint scheme,
Oh,
this is called Black Limba.
never heard of it.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
It's an exotic wood. It's extremely hard,
Wow.
but it's got the colors. It's going to pull all those colors together because that bed is the largest flat surface on the truck.
Yeah, I see some green in there, some yellow. I mean, that color we're working with, it kind of ties in a little bit to both.
It's going to
of
hit every point there.
Yeah, it's
That's
going to really pull it
beautiful.
together good. And then I was thinking about, well, with what y'all are doing with the wheels, I thought, well, instead of a stainless bed strip, which is what this is, and nothing wrong with that.
No.
We've got our new one called Smoke Stainless.
Oh, wow. Kind of tones it down a little bit, gives you that gray tone, and that looks like it'll fit
That
real well
ties
on our
in,
wheel.
yeah, the wheels, the same color on the
Yeah,
wheels
and
there.
you can see when you, just the contrast now,
Right.
how much better that looks.
Yeah, now those strips right there, they have the holes in it for the fasteners, but you also
They do.
have a style that hides the fasteners, right?
Yes, we do have these in a hidden fastener strip, so you don't see any bolts. And for this build, with all the modifications that's been made to this bed, absolutely a hidden fastener.
Okay.
That way, the inside of that bed, you'll see nothing. It'll be as smooth as glass.
I think that's the right idea.
Yeah,
And-
and all those finishes there, what I see, everything's finished, but for like the guy at home, I think about a wood floor, you think about sanding and staining and all the different, time it takes. But he can call you up and say, hey, I need a wood floor that's finished, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Open the box, there's your bed strips, your wood's all finished, ready to install, your hardware, all in one box.
I mean, after all the work that I put into my bed, that is much appreciated. I wish I would have done it, but hey.
We're set up to do it. It's all American made. Even our raw product, our stainless, our hardware, everything's all American made.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm super excited. That's going to look awesome in that truck.
Yeah.
Jeff, we appreciate you coming out here today.
Oh,
Thank you,
absolutely.
sir.
Appreciate you having me down.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We got the C10 in the shop here. We're installing this pretty new drive shaft from Chattanooga Driveline.
After setting our pinion and transmission angles, we sent off our measurements to Chattanooga Driveline, and this 3.5-inch shaft is what they sent us. It's in steel. Now, it clears everything, except one more thing we gotta check is that cab. So let's go ahead and get this thing rolled up underneath it. We're gonna lower the cab down and see what we're working with.
Let's do it. See what we're looking like. All right, talk to me, Goose.
All right, send that thing down, and it looks like the lift is all the way down,
That's
but
it.
we're not making contact yet. So let's put some more air in the bags and raise the chassis.
A little bit more. Oh, that's it.
All right.
Let's
What's
see
it
where
look
we're
like up
hitting.
there?
Looks like we're hitting on the back of the trans right at that seam on the tunnel.
Okay. Let's see.
Yep.
All right, let's jump inside, see what we can do. All right. Well, to achieve the correct driveline angle on our lowered chassis, we had to take the transmission and move it up from its factory mounting point. Well, the downside of that is it's run into the bottom of the floor pan here. Now, these trucks were originally equipped with either a low hump floor pan like ours, or a high hump floor pan like you'll see on some four-wheel drive models.
Now, luckily for us, Brothers Truck sells just about every piece of sheet metal you're ever gonna need for these old C10s, including this high hump you see here. Now, what this is gonna allow us to do is take our low hump truck and make it a high hump. Now, what we'll do here is we're gonna lay it down like this, we'll mark out these holes, and then we'll take it off, cut around pretty much basically to the edge of these holes, all the way around here, and that's gonna hopefully give us the clearance we need to get this trans right.
Yep, so let's get this marked out, we'll get it cut out and see how much more room we got.
All right, I'll grab a marker. So I'm keeping pressure on this thing to kind of keep it in place. Not that it's super critical, but aim small, miss small. All right, that should be good. We'll take this off, trace our outline, and then get to cutting. All right, so we're gonna make our line, our cut line here on this factory stamping, right on the inside, so we know that this is gonna be the outside of the tunnels over here. This is our hole, so I'm just gonna stay on the inside of that. I don't really necessarily need to mark it, but it's always good just to have an extra visual. That way you don't get lost while you're cutting. All right, something like this. Stay on this line right here. All right, something like that. So the way I'm gonna cut it, I mean, if you have a plasma cutter, you can use a plasma. I'll probably just end up using a cutoff wheel, and then we'll grind it smooth with a flap disc. Should be good to go. Good to go. All right, slide this thing under, see how we're looking.
Check our clearance.
Got it? Good?
From the front. Okay, drop her down.
Still going down.
It's going down. I'm yelling timber. No, not that song.
No,
Okay.
no.
Almost there. All right, stop. Lift is all the way down. We're not on the mounts yet.
Got to air up.
So let's air it up. I think that's right there. Check it out and see.
Let's see what we're looking like in here. Well, it looks like the trans problem went away, which is a good thing.
Right.
But I looked under the truck and I can already see it here. With this single piece drive shaft we're running, we're gonna run into issues with the floor and the back of the cab. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the chassis is all the way up right now, but when we lay out, that drive shaft's gonna be coming way up.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna have to be cutting that floor.
Yeah, the cab's all the way down on the lift, but it's still not sitting on the body mounts yet because it's obviously hitting on something right there with that U-joint of the drive shaft.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we let the air out of the system, the airbags there, is definitely gonna be hitting the back of the floor, so.
Yeah, so I think what we do is I wanna try to save this, save the top of this, and maybe we just put a piece over here.
Right.
You know, put a piece down there, weld it all in and cut the back of the cab.
Right.
And I think we'll be good then.
Yeah, we'll just try to remove as little as possible because then you get up in the bottom of the seat with clearance issues and things like that. So we'll go ahead and get that cut out and then start making a new piece to cover that up.
Yep. Well, all right, guys. So as you can see, we're already starting to weld in our high hump here from Brothers. And the way we did it is we went ahead and just used the existing holes in the hump that they give you to either, and there's a couple different ways you can do it. You could drill them in, weld some nuts on the back, or you could do what we're doing here and go ahead and just plug weld them in. And ultimately, the best way to do it would be to cut this all out and butt weld this in. We're a little limited on time, so we're just gonna go ahead and do this. And then after we're done, we'll go ahead and just cover everything in some seam sealer, and it'll be good to go. Now, also, I already went ahead and cut out what we needed to get out of here for the trans tunnel and the drive shaft. And so what I did is basically just freehanded it with a plasma cutter, and then we went back over it, hit it with a flap disc to clean up the edges. Now I've already got my templates made up, so I'm gonna go ahead, finish burning this in, and then we'll go over to the brake and go bend some metal. All right, well, now that we have that hump welded into the truck, I'm gonna go ahead and start filling that hole in the floor. So I already whipped up a couple of templates here, and the material I like to use are just your run-of-the-mill standard manila folders. I like using this a little bit better in cardboard because cardboard's kind of a pain in the butt to cut. So this stuff cuts a lot easier and you can bend it and it kind of stays. So what I'll do now is I got my piece of metal here already cut out to a rough size. I already laid it out here and taped it down. And so I marked my bend lines and I marked it. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger since a pretty simple bend. It's just 290s, and if I have to trim up a little bit under the floor, I can do it that way. I'm not trying to get too crazy with it. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna clamp it to the table. We'll use a cutoff wheel to cut this out since the shear's down right now. So we'll just do it the old school way. So let's get to cutting. All right. Clean that up with a flat disc. We'll be ready to bend it up. All right, got this thing roughed in. Looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and head over to the brake. All right, we'll go ahead and slap this thing up in the brake. All right, we're all lined out here. We'll go ahead and clamp it down. Now, a pretty good rule to live by whenever you're using a brake is you gotta set this top leaf to a certain distance from the braking edge. And usually that's, if you're within four gauges of the maximum thickness, that you gotta be double the thickness of the material. So that's about where I'm at. I'm almost maxed out for this machine since it's a 16 gauge. So it's just gonna give us a little bit bigger of a radius. But I've already laid that out and calculated that in my measurements, so we should be good to go. So we'll go ahead and start braking this thing. And I'm gonna go to 90, maybe a little less. Go a little bit past 90, not too much. Should be good. Well, that looks pretty good. So I went ahead and I hit the edges, kind of went to my lines that I had for my template. So it's pretty close right now. Now in here, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna fill all these. Once I get this piece in, I'm gonna tie everything together and then we'll seam seal everything after we're done welding everything in. So let's go ahead, we'll get a couple tacks on this, get it in place. All right, so we got these tacked. I still got to pound some metal a little bit, get everything to fit really good, but we should be almost ready to weld. I got to make one more piece here to tie all this together and to fill this hole here. All right, see how this little piece is looking here, Mike. I think that's gonna work out pretty good.
That'd be perfect. You know, I'm glad we really didn't have to cut out too much of that floor to make this work.
Yeah, we kept the rigidity here. You know, whenever I'm chopping into a floor or body or anything, I like to, you know, keep it as stock appearing as possible. That way you double look at it and you're like, oh, did they mess with that or did they not? So
yeah, not too heavily modified.
Yeah, I think
when we lower this thing out, let all the air out of that suspension there, that drive shaft was just touching the floor. But this way, you know, we've got some clearance there, won't be any interference. So no mechanical issues there.
Yeah, trans clears, drive shaft clears, so I think we're about ready to burn this thing in.
Yeah, the other good thing is it's not too high for the seat for the inside here. So when we do the interior, you can have that same stock looking seat.
Yeah, we're no higher than this right here, so it should be good to go.
Right, well, I'll let you burn that in. I'm gonna work on these fenders.
Sounds like a plan.
So like we said, we're gonna have air ride on this chassis, meaning we're gonna let this thing down to the ground. The body and the frame is gonna get pretty low. Now in a factory setup, the inner fenders would collide with the tires if we try to do that. So we went ahead and with these slosh tubs. This is a fiberglass inner fender. It's made to give you more clearance between that tire and the inner fender underneath the hood. And plus they just look a whole lot nicer than that stock setup. Now to get these mounted up, you've got to clearance a little bit of the fenders there. Now they send you this template on what to cut out of your fenders. So this template, I'm gonna lay it down right here. We'll go up to this edge, we'll get it marked out. The other thing too, so this area is gonna get cut out. So this is where the hood hinge mounts. So unfortunately, we're gonna relocate that hood hinge onto the cowl. So to get this going, I'm gonna get my little permanent marker and get this drawn out, and we'll get ready to go. Now there's a few ways you could cut this out. I'm gonna use a body saw. All right, now before we can test fit our inner fender, we gotta drill some holes to mount it up to it. Now the neat thing about Slash Tubs here is he goes ahead and gives you a little mark for all your holes that you need to drill out. So that takes a little guesswork out of it. We'll go ahead and get those drilled out. All right, with our holes drilled, now it's time to test our fitment. Now this is a point where you might have to do some fine tuning for your fender and application. This fender right here is not a GM fender, it's an aftermarket fender. We saw the little made in Taiwan stamping on it, so need a little bit different tune up there. I like to start in the middle with the bolts and just kind of let it work its way in. And they send you brand new bolts with these inner fenders as well. All right, let's see how that looks right there. Perfect, fits real good. But now you'll notice there's a little bit of a gap right in here, some dead space. Now what he does, he makes some filler panels that'll clean up that area. Now I've already done that on our passenger side fender right here. These panels right here, you've got one for the front and one for the back. Now, you can take these and fine tune them the way you want to your inner fender, how you want to butt them up to the previous fender there. So we've already got these fit. They're ready for body work right there. But there's one more thing that we're going to do to these fenders to clean them up. Hello, America. Notice this big old hole we got right here on our side of our fender. Well, that's for the side marker lights. Now, these came standard on the 68 and up trucks, but 67 didn't have this, so this is smooth, it was clean, it looked really nice. So we're gonna fill that hole just like that with these side filler panels we got from LS Fabrication. Now, they make it real nice. They fit up easy, weld them in, and you can have a nice, clean fender just like that. All right, with it flipped over, you can see what we're working with now. Set that piece right in there, weld it in place, a little body work, should be good to go. First step, get all that paint off there. All right, so the key with welding this in is controlling the heat. We don't want to pour a bunch of heat to it because what it's going to do to this fender is going to move it all around. It's going to create more work for us down the road. So I'm going to take my time and go a little bit at a time, cool it off, and try to keep the temperature down. All right, well, we got it all welded up. Unfortunately, we did get a little bit of movement there in the panel, so a little hammer and dolly work, and she'll be good to go.
All right, while Mike's busy cranking away on our fender over there, I'm gonna tackle one more job here on the cab. Now, what I'm gonna do today is fill this hole where the gas cap filler would normally be on a stock truck. Now, these trucks originally came with the fuel tank behind the seat, but we're getting rid of that. So we got this nice little piece here from LS Fab, 16 gauge, it's metal finished, and it's got the right radius for the cab. So I'm gonna go ahead, clean this all up, and we'll get to tacking it in. All right, I'm just gonna use a little Scotch-Brite pad here and knock all this old paint off. Now it's important, you wanna make sure you get everything off, especially when you're TIG welding like I'm gonna do, because a little bit of paint, a little bit of whatever's in there, it's gonna affect the weld and you're gonna be chasing porosity the whole time and it's no fun. We get the inside with an in grinder and a flap disc. I'm just going real light because I don't want to dig into the metal. I'm just trying to get the paint off. All right, I'll just take a little bit of sandpaper now by hand and get the rest off. All right, I think that's pretty good. We're gonna hit it with a little acetone and then we'll get to welding. It fits pretty good. It's gonna need a little bit of fitment. You know, these trucks, you could have taken two of them right back to back off the assembly line and they would be different. So, and especially a truck, I mean, who knows, this could have been used on a farm and beat to death. I don't think this truck was, but you know, there's gonna be variance in a truck to truck and it's gonna take a little bit of fitting no matter what piece of new sheet metal you're putting on it. And that's the exact same in our case. It's a little big, so I'm gonna go grind a little bit off and get it tacked in the truck. All right, so I went ahead and took a flap disc on a grinder and just knocked a little bit off here, and then I just rounded these radiuses on the little notch down here on the bottom. Now, they fit really good. I didn't have to do a lot to them, so let's check it out, see how we're looking. I can already tell I'm gonna be able to work with that. I may have to do a little hammer work while I'm welding, but we'll just get to that point when we get there. All right, so whenever I'm working on body panels that's thin sheet metal, I like to tack around it. I'll basically tack little tacks, maybe an inch apart, maybe a little bit less, half inch, and just go all the way around it before I ever start welding. Want to make sure you're keeping it nice and cool with either some water if you don't have air, but air is the best way to do it. And I don't want to let anything get too hot because that's when stuff starts moving. All right, so I got this thing roughed in. I got it tacked in a bunch of spots. What I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna run around. I'm gonna stitch weld it in about maybe 3/4 of an inch and then move. And I'll do it opposite ends, kind of like a star pattern, just to try to control the heat. And I'm gonna be, after every single pass, I'm gonna be hitting it with air, letting it cool down nice and quick so it doesn't move to the areas around here and create a big old mess. Try to keep that under control. I mean, it's inevitable. I'm gonna have to, slather a little bit of filler, but I'm trying to keep the filler to a minimum. So go ahead, get that done.
Well, how'd it turn out?
Well, I think it looks pretty good. A little hammer dolly work and a swipe of filler. It's gonna be ready to rip.
Yeah, you definitely did a good job filling that hole right
man,
there.
I've been filling gap for years. I get better every time I do it.
Right, and that's the thing. The more time that you spend on the foundation, like the metal work of it, the easier it gets down the road when it comes to the filler and the sanding, the paint.
Yeah, practice makes perfect, and I like TIG welding, bodies, body panels, stuff like that. It's more malleable when you go to do the hammer and dolly work than a MIG weld's gonna be, so I try to TIG as much as I possibly can on the body. We went ahead and mocked up our bed in the back. We welded up our trans tunnel and our high hump, and then we also installed our front clip. There's one more thing we gotta do up here today, and that's install the hood.
Yeah, when we put those slosh tub inner fenders on there, well, we had to cut out the area where the factory hood hinge attached. So we relocated it here on the cowl area. Now these brackets work really nice. All we gotta do is take this piece here, we're gonna attach it, and then get the hood back on it, lined up where we like, and weld it on together.
Yeah, and I think you drew the short straw on that one, so I think that's gonna be you climbing in that hole.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little awkward to get up in there, but we'll take care of it.
We'll get her done.
All right, get the hood back on.
Let's see what she's looking like. Get my fingers out of there.
Check this latch. Perfect. Check the gaps here.
Like it was made for it.
Yeah. See, now's the opportunity where you want to go through and spend a little extra time getting all your gaps where you want, how you like it, before we weld it in for good.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need to have it locked down tight to where, final's gonna be, because after paint and stuff's gonna move, but you wanna get it close, that way that you know that you're gonna be close after paint.
All right, so now I'm gonna grab the welder and then crawl up in there and get them welded on.
Let's get her done.
Let's see. Yeah, somewhere back there. Spray and pray, right? I'll do another one for good measure up here. There we go. Right about there. All right, let me give it one more. Little tack back here in the corner, and we get out of this awkward position here. Somewhere right in there. That's good enough. I think that'll stick.
Got her all glued up.
I think so.
Let's see what we got.
Okay.
Dough?
Yep. There they are.
Look at that.
All right, let's get it welded on for good.
Burn it in. All right, now that Mike's got these hinge plates tacked to the hood, I can go ahead and start welding them up. I'm gonna give him a little bit of a hand because he's at the chiropractor right now after crawling out of that engine bay. That was a bit of a tight fit in there. So I'm gonna use my trusty TIG welder, and we'll get these things burned in. Now, since we're welding to the brace and not the actual hood, you could actually do this job with a painted hood. I would still put some protection between the brace and the hood, but it can be done. Now, with these hood plates being so much thicker than the sheet metal, it's a good idea to keep your heat concentrated on the thicker plate. That way you're not burning through that thin sheet metal.
All right, you got yours tight.
I'm looking pretty good over here.
All right, go ahead and run it down. We'll check it out.
See what we got.
All right, well, gaps look even.
Nice and straight, looks pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, a little adjustment here when we're after paint, which is probably not gonna fit anyway, but
Pop it up.
see what we got.
Smooth, not binding. That's perfect. Well, when we tore this thing apart, one of the first things we did is we took the interior and we headed up north to Kentucky to our friends at Auto Customs.
Where they got a cool little shop and a good group of guys. Check this out.
When it comes to transforming classic trucks into rolling works of art, few names stand out like Auto Customs. Founded in 2015 by Jonas Talby and Eric DeMumbrin, this award-winning team has spent over a decade turning raw ideas into stunning custom interiors.
Man, this may be the coolest building I've ever seen an interior shop in.
I know, right? This place has got a lot of character.
Yeah, I like that brick. All right, you got the door there, buddy?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Afternoon, fellas.
What's up?
Hey, you must be Eric?
I'm Eric.
Hey, Anthony Sorreo, Music City Trucks.
What's up, Anthony?
Good to meet you.
Mike.
What's up,
Nice
Mike?
to meet you, man.
Heard you boys are the ones that come to for truck interiors.
We certainly are.
Awesome.
Yeah, we
see
got
that
a few truck
sitting there.
parts for you. Jonas,
looks
What's
nice.
on?
how you doing, Mike?
Yeah,
Jonas,
nice to meet you.
Anthony.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you, sir.
We got some C10 stuff here, huh?
Yes, we do. Thinking hopefully you guys can set us up with a good-looking interior.
I think we can handle that.
Yeah.
That's where the trucks go.
Yeah. That looks pretty nice sitting over there.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Yeah, that's our one of our square body sets we do. We actually specialize in the square body stuff for like the DIY guy.
Oh, yeah?
People can send in their interior and they can send all their parts to us. We could wrap them, get them ready to go. We could build them a cover, ship them the cover. They can install it themselves.
Man,
But this is actually a little bit more of a custom version of what we would offer, but it's totally doable. So.
Well, it's beautiful, man. That's exactly, I mean, as somebody that builds trucks for myself, that seems like a really good solution that you're always looking for. It's hard to find interior parts.
For sure. Yeah, we saw that there was kind of a need for that, so we decided to build a pattern system and make something for those guys.
Right. Ah, it's beautiful. I like the patterns. Do you have any more patterns we could check out?
Yeah, we actually have a card right here.
Oh, look at that. So you can pick different stitching for different stuff, and then you can also pick inserts.
Yep. So those are our 9 patterns, and then you can customize them however you want. Like that one over there, for instance, it would be our custom pattern with a different top on it. But you can do different stitching, and this was actually before we got that big beautiful machine over there. So we can do we have all kinds of options for that we can do now in the inserts.
So what do you have for the options on those gray areas?
So we got plenty of options on those. Got all these sew outs right here.
Oh man, you weren't lying.
Yeah,
Look at that.
That's pretty cool.
there's lots of options.
You definitely come up with some different designs over the years and makes it interesting.
And we can come up with anything off the fly too.
Yeah, man, you gotta love technology, right?
Logos and things like that.
That's like a Porsche pattern.
With that double stitching there.
Yeah, that one's pretty wild.
I kind of like something that wide look for that truck.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Get a little radius.
Yeah, because we can do this in the headliner insert too.
Oh yeah.
And then obviously you can do any color stitching. I mean,
Any color.
We think purple.
I like purple. I don't have a problem with purple.
We have a nice rainbow.
Although yellow and purple, I don't know. I don't know about the basketball fans. It might be
Oh, like a Lakers.
out west. Yeah, it's
Lakers deal.
it's a Lakers
Just
deal.
finding something that fits the truck for what you're going for. That's the
Options
confusing
are
part.
endless.
We're gonna be here a while. I feel like.
Most people come in with the idea of what they want, and then when they leave, they're more
It's completely
confused.
different.
More confused.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. I mean, we got some more stuff in the truck. Why don't you let us go grab it? You boys can get to work.
All right, sounds good.
I don't.
Now, previously we've shown y'all the new bed panels we got from Brothers Trucks, but because of the step notch and the frame setup, well, we can't use that factory floor. So we've got to do a little bit of engineering of our own to make it work.
Yeah, a little engineering or a lot, depending on how you want to look at it. Now, with the rear drop member that we got from Porterbuilt, they give you frame rails that allow you to use the existing rear cross sill mounting locations. So we went ahead and did that back here, but up front, we had to do something just a little bit different. And the way I like to do these trucks is I run a piece of 2x1 rectangular tubing that's in the front bed panel here, and then I'll build a couple of brackets that hang down and mount to the stock locations. That just seems to be the easiest way to get that front mounted to the frame. You know, it was a little tricky getting with this. This is for the air tank and for the ECU for all the air ride, but we got it figured out, and it's locked down now. So now what we got to do today is we got to figure out all our pieces for raising this wood bed floor. Now, the wheel wells are going to come into play. There's going to be a lot of stuff while we're going in and cutting everything that we have to figure out kind of on the fly. But we have a general idea of what we want to do. So what do you want to get to it?
Yeah, so pretty much, like you're saying, this is the factory spot for the old floor, and we've got to bring it up somewhere on this area to clear that notch right there. So we just got to get some tubing and make a little frame, and next thing you know, we'll be finished with that. So
Let's get to cutting.
Get to it.
All right, let's see what we got here. Now, first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and slap this wheel tub up on the bed here. Now, we already knew that we're gonna have to cut a little bit of the top out to match the radius on the inside of the bed here, since we're going up a little bit higher.
Yeah, I got that piece of wood there on the frame. That's going to be the same thickness as the bedwood kit, so that'd be a good starting point there.
Yeah, and that's all we're looking for right now is just a visual idea of where we wanna be. Now, we've already kind of spitballed and we've figured that we're gonna start our piece of 1x right on the top of this bead roll here. And what that's gonna do, it's gonna give us a little bit of breathing room between the frame rails and the underside of this bed frame. I think it's gonna be pretty good there.
Yeah, that'd be a good place to do it.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do here first is tube out the entire perimeter of this, and then I'll go back through. That's gonna set our height, and then we'll go ahead and we'll, get all the inner frame around the wheels and our structure going across so that when we put the bedwood in, we have somewhere to bolt to.
Yeah, the attachment point. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. So let's get to cutting some tubing.
All right, I'll go fire up that old chop saw.
All right.
All right, with our front and rear width measurements taken, we'll kick things off by cutting a couple of pieces of 2x1 rectangular tubing. We'll tack those in place using some vertical tubing cut to the right height so it clears those step notches on the frame. Once the front and rear are tacked into place, I'll drop in 2 lateral pieces to tie them together, making sure the wheel tub flanges land right where they should. After that, we'll cut a few shorter pieces to tie into the bed sides. That'll give us a solid mounting point for the front and rear tub flanges while adding rigidity. Finally, we'll box in the rest of the framework along the bedside. That's going to beef up the strength and give us plenty of spots to mount the bedwood strips. That's all she wrote. So now that we have our perimeter all tacked into place, our frame's basically done, we can go ahead and we can start putting in our pieces that actually hold the wood down to the bed. And so what we're using is from bedwood are these hidden fastener stainless strips. And basically what it is, it's just a T-bolt that attaches to this track inside, and this is what actually mounts the wood down to the bed frame. But I gotta put a couple pieces horizontally to actually get it to mount, and I've also gotta put some in the corners here, and I'm gonna do that diagonally, a couple 45s on each end, and we should be good. So I got a couple more measurements to get, so I'm gonna get to that right now, we'll get her done. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is find the center of our opening here, and then I'm gonna pull 3 measurements off that, and we'll get to the saw. Now that we have our measurements, I'll cut out our pieces using some 1x1 square tubing. This will give us the ability to shave a little weight on the bed frame, as well as giving us ample room to attach our bedwood strips. Once cut, I'll remove our wheel tubs and clamp some support pieces to our bed frame, making sure our tubing is on the same plane. Then, we can tack them into place.
All right, well, how's it going back here?
Well, I got her tacked up. You know, we just got to yank this thing off and weld it up. But I think you got to put some batteries in first, right?
Yeah, you know, this would be a good time to access the area to put the batteries in, because we are going to put the batteries in the back of the truck. Y'all liked it so much on the 632
Yeah, I think
SS,
I built this brace right here. We can stack them right on top of the wood, maybe run the cables along the seams.
Right, yeah, no bed cover. We'll just let them be out there in the wide open like that.
Easily accessible.
Right, easy to get to. No, we're just kidding on that. We are going to mount the batteries in the back, but they've got a nice location to go to on this frame. Here, let me help you get out of here.
Yeah, I would love to get out of here. I've had enough of it.
All right, like that. And then for those battery boxes, we got these boxes here from Porterbuilt. They're actually made for this kit on that chassis there. They'll bolt right up to the provision. So we're going to get this bolted on and get our batteries in. All right, now like I said before, we're gonna use 2 batteries on this truck to give us plenty of juice to spin over that beast behind me, and also power for our air ride system for all the compressors and whatnot. Now this one, we're gonna go with Duralast, their gold series of batteries right here. Now this one is rated at 650 cold cranking amps. That's measured at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. The other number is gonna be a little bit larger, is 810. That's cranking amps, and that's actually measured at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So you might wonder, how do you figure out which size battery is going to work for your application? Well, pretty simple for us. I took that battery tray down to our AutoZone, started picking them out, see which one would fit, and this is the one that would fit with the most cold cranking amps. So let's get this thing moving.
Yeah, it looks like you got this all finished up. Looking good.
Yep, yeah, we're moving right along.
It's always like Christmas in the summertime when you get to unbox a bunch of parts and start a brand new engine build, and that's exactly what we're doing today in Engine Power.
A big part of how an engine runs is the sum of its parts. So today we are going to use some parts that were specifically designed for the LS platform by the folks at Summit Racing Equipment. This is from Summit's Pro LS line. They went the extra mile and developed parts for engines from mild to the extremely wild. And we have a great selection here for our engine. We are going to be building a 427-inch LS-based engine. Now, we got some really cool things that go with that. It all starts out with their 4340 forged 4-inch crankshaft. This is their Pro LS with a 58-tooth reluctor. Moving on to the connecting rod, there's a 6 125 length, 927 pin, 2 100 big end. Their Pro LS piston is a nice piece, 4125 bore, 2618 material, 1110 compression height. They also make their own dampers. This is a damper that is SFI certified, so if you go to the track, you are good to go. Going along with all this other good stuff are their camshafts, their Pro LS camshafts. Very specific profiles with lobes that will do anything that you want, from mild naturally aspirated to big boosted applications. That camshaft ties in with big airflow, and we have that covered with TrickFlow's new 280cc LS3 style cylinder head. These are pretty special because they have been set up for big boost. Now, we can use them naturally aspirated as well, but they have a lot of great features. 67cc fully CNC chamber, 2165 severe duty intake valve, in-canal 1600 exhaust. So if you want to use these on a big boost application, you are all set. Has a titanium retainer with a double spring. Now you can say that these heads are pretty hip because that is the process of the casting that makes it stronger and more stable. Hot isostatic pressed. That means these heads will stay very stable under high pressure, and they are 750 thousandths thick to make sure all of that boost or whatever you're doing stays inside the combustion chamber. Now, to pair with our cylinder heads, we have TrickFlow's newest R-Series fuel injection intake that is throttle body based, so it looks like an old school hot rod. We have a lot of other cool parts like the Phytech injection and other things, but we have to have a good foundation to put all of these parts in, and Frankie's gonna tell you about that.
For the base of this build, we could use an OE block, but for the displacement that we're gonna be running, this is something that's much easier to get and is actually way better. This is the newest offering from Summit Racing's SPC Street Performance Competition engine block line, their Pro LS engine block. Now this is a brand new casting. This is cast in new molds in a top tier OE foundry in Germany, and then it's brought over to the USA and fully machined except for the cylinder bores. They leave those unfinished, that way you can set them up for your application as far as your piston to wall clearance, crosshatch angle, and surface profile. But they have everything else machined, that way they can keep you out of machine shop jail, as they call it, and you can build this engine at home. So it has a ton of cool features, so we'll just go through them. It has a unfinished 4125 bore, but you can take it out to 4185 if you want. It has casting clearance for our 4-inch stroke, but with a little bit of hand clearancing or machine shop clearancing, you can get it up to 4 to 50-inch stroke. It has a reinforced deck, so they've added material, so it's about 3/4 inch thick. The decks are a 6-bolt design like our cylinder heads. That way you have some extra clamp force to help seal up those big boosted engines with a lot of cylinder pressure. They have also extended the cylinder bores about 1/4 inch for extra skirt support on those stroker applications. It does have priority main oiling. It also has threaded oil gallery plugs, and they do that for a very specific reason. The lifter crossover is actually in the center, and they plug these mechanically with pipe plugs. That way, if you're doing like a race application with a lot of oil pressure, you don't have to worry about the cam retaining plate flexing and possibly leaking. Now, it has all the other same architecture as a conventional LS. It actually blends a little bit of the Gen 3 and Gen 4s, so it does use a front cam sensor and a conventional crank sensor, but it will take a tie bar LS lifter, it will take a conventional LS lifter, and a lot of the other parts interchange. So this is pretty much ready to go. All we're gonna do to it is basically go through our normal block prep, our deburring, oil porting, stuff like that, and then we just have to finish the cylinder bores, and it will be ready for final cleaning and assembly. So let's get to it. Okay, we have our Summit Pro LS block out of the assembly area into our dirty area over here by our machines. Like we said, the first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and do all of our block prep. We're gonna deburr the block and do some light porting on the oil passageways. And this is something that you've seen us do a bunch, and we feel is extremely important on a fresh build like this. We do this to stock castings and aftermarket castings. Although an aftermarket casting is generally much better and the casting is much smoother, usually there's also a lot more machine surfaces because the manufacturers pay a little bit more attention to all the areas of the block that they want to machine. So we want to go through and break all those sharp edges. This not only makes the block easier to work with, but also helps prevent stress risers, which could turn into cracks. And then we're going to go through and port some of the oil passageways to help improve oil flow. And the great thing about this is that, yes, it does take quite a bit of time, but once it's done on the block for life. So barring you junking a block, this is something that will be done whether you're rebuilding the engine, running it forever. It is an investment of time into your engine. So we're going to get a grinder and then we'll get started. We have a selection of different carbide bits to choose from, and we'll start with a tapered Ferris bit. Sharp edges are created during the machining process, and we simply want to break that edge or round it off. We are not trying to put a huge bevel on it or remove a lot of material, so a light touch is really all that's needed with a sharp carbide burr. You also have to be careful around the critical machined areas like the decks, cam tunnel, and mains so that you don't accidentally slip and put a big gouge in your fresh block. Just remember, this is a process that can take a while if you're going over the whole block, and you can double check to make sure you don't miss any areas by running your hands over the entire piece.
Next, Frankie will work on the oil galleries, which mainly involve rounding sharp edges and corners that cause oil to eddy and restrict flow. It can take a couple of different burrs, but you can see that the finished product is much smoother and removes those sharp edges like we mentioned. We'll follow the galleries all the way to the mains, where an air pencil and an 1/8" carbide are used to round off the main passageways. These are drilled to feed oil to the main bearings, and that leaves sharp edges as well, so we can carefully smooth those out. Once the block is cleaned of all the grinding material and dust, we can load it into our cylinder hone for the next stage of the machining process. With the engine block all slicked up, now it's time to set the bores to final size. We have it in our Sun and SV15 hone, and we are ready to go. Next thing we're gonna do is put a torque plate on before we get honing. That means we're gonna take the gasket that we're gonna use and the fasteners that we're gonna use when we use the torque plate. And for that, we picked up an ARP head stud kit. Now this is specifically for the LSX because remember, this is a 6-bolt head. It comes with everything that we need to bolt it down. These are all made out of ARP 2000 material. Great tensile strength, great longevity, and they even come with their ARP specifically engineered ultra torque lube so you get accurate torque figures and maximum clamp load. One thing of note, the washers have a serrated side on them. Now that is very important because you've heard us talk about this before. If you put lube on both sides of that washer when it is assembled, it can act like a bearing and potentially give you an inaccurate and heavier torque value and potentially ruin your fastener. So these have been made with a serration on one side and that goes down on the cylinder head side. And perhaps the most important thing in this kit is the instructions. ARP puts a very concise set of instructions in every kit. Remember, these are not torque to yield. If you follow these to the T, you'll get the maximum benefit and maximum results from these studs. So the next thing we're gonna do is get the gasket that we're gonna use, and we're gonna get our ICT billet plate on and get it torqued down. We are using the exact head gasket as will be used in the build, and it is clamped down by this 6-bolt ICT billet LS torque plate. The ARP studs are screwed into the block hand tight and the washers are dropped on. ARP Ultra Torque Lube is applied to the threads and the tops of the washers before it is followed by the 12-point nuts. Following ARP's instructions, the head studs are torqued in sequence with the 11mm studs going to 90 pound-feet in 3 stages, and the 8mm studs being tightened to 28 pound-feet.
Once Pat gets the hone set up for our application, he's going to use our 150 grit diamond abrasives to remove the minor 5/1000ths of an inch needed to set our bores to the correct size for our piston to wall clearance. This is also enough to remove the cylinder wall distortion that the torque plate duplicates to achieve a round cylinder and set the valley in the surface profile of this plateau hone. Once each cylinder is roughed out to size, we will trade the coarse 150 grit abrasives for a finer set of 600 grit diamonds that will effectively knock the peaks off the cylinder wall finish. After 5 strokes at a lighter load, we will clean the cylinders and use our profilometer and traceball software from Total Seal Piston Rings to measure our surface finish. For this NA street application, this result is perfect and will give us a well-sealed cylinder with a long lifespan.
Long.
Okay, I think that is everything we need. So we are getting set up to balance our crankshaft. That's the next thing we're gonna do in the process of building this 427. So we have everything laid out that we're going to need. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our crank set on the machine and then we'll start measuring and get some weights. After getting the crank set up in the machine, we can start measuring the weights of each of the components in the rotating assembly. So we need to measure both the rotating and reciprocating pieces, and they are entered into the system in grams.
Since this scale is connected to the CWT software, all we have to do is lay each component on it and then hit the print button to send it to the bob weight sheet. Even the wrist pin locks are measured, and once we have our target bob weight, 1,818 grams in this case, we can assemble one for each crank pin and install them with the CWT centering device. We'll begin with spinning the crank at 500 RPM to see where we're starting.
Ooh, okay. So that's actually extremely good. We are at 0.114 ounce inch on the front, so basically we are not going to touch the front if we can. And on the back, we are extremely close, 1.495 ounce inch, so a little over 12 grams. Basically right here on the counterweight. That is something we can absolutely take care of with a small hole. So we're going to do that and get this thing dialed in real quick. Okay, we are all set up to drill our hole in our rear counterweight. We're going to step this up with drill sizes, but something to think about is that you do not want to do this dry. This is a hardened crank. You need some kind of lubrication. And if you notice, we have cans of this stuff, Seafoam's Deep Creep, all over the shop because it's good for basically everything. It's like an adjustable wrench in a can. You guys have probably seen it for breaking bolts loose, using it as a penetrating oil for stuck fasteners or something like that, but it's also good for a bunch of other stuff. It can clean stuff. We use it to clean machines, clean engines, make them look glossy and new. It also works really good as a rust preventive, so we'll use it on blocks and parts when they're coming out of the cleaner, and it works really good as a machining fluid, basically. It works really good if we're cutting something on the lathe or mill, or if we're drilling, because it not only has lubricity, but it also resists heat and evaporation. It's got a nice straw, and it comes out in a nice foam. That way you don't make a mess. You can just get a little bit on there, and then we're ready to go. We use a 1/4 inch drill to make a starter hole, since it is much easier to make sure the hole is centered on the 800 thousandths wide counterweight than a larger piece. Once we have a decent hole, we can change out to a 9/16 hyper step drill and slowly remove the material, checking the crank as we go at 750 RPM until we get it where we want for imbalance. All right, there we go. So we are well under our tolerance, and we are 176 degrees apart, so we are at 0.144 ounce inch on the rear, 0.145 on the right. So we're going to go ahead and save that as our last spin, and our forces on the center of the crank are minimized down to 0.013 ounce inch. And if we look at our before and after here, just at 6,000 RPM on the rear, we are going from 95 pounds of force down to just 9.2. So that is very good. We're going to go ahead and get this crank off of here, get it cleaned up, and then we can start moving even closer to assembly.
All right, with everything cleaned up, we're going to start measuring our main and rod bearing clearances. With coated Summit bearings in the block and main caps, they are gently tapped down, and then these 180,000 PSI main bolts are installed and snugged down with oil on the threads. We'll install only the 3 rear caps, so now we can fit our dial bore gauge in for measuring. These are reusable fasteners, but have a torque to angle spec, so they are torqued initially to 15 pound-feet before the inners are tightened to 80 degrees more, and then the outers are 51 degrees more. The side bolts are tightened to 18 pound-feet, and then a dial bore gauge set to the respective main journal size is used to measure the oil clearances, and they fall between 23 and 25 10,000ths.
Next, we can check the rod clearances, first bracing them in our ARP rod vise. The ARP 2000 bolts are torqued to 88 pound-feet with ARP lube to achieve the proper stretch, which is from 51 to 55 10,000ths, and then a 2 to 3 inch micrometer is set to the matching journal size. It is used to zero out the dial bore gauge, and then we can take a direct oil clearance measurement. All of the rods are between the tight tolerance of 20 to 21 10,000ths, which is right where we want them. Okay, we are coming along really nicely. All of our tolerances are landing within 1 or 2 10,000ths of an inch, so that really tells you that these parts have a very tight tolerance on machining. So we're looking really good, and when we come back, we're going to be moving on and getting this thing into assembly. Okay, we are getting close to assembly, but there's one last thing we need to do for our 427 before we can actually start putting parts together and getting them inside our engine, and that is file the end gaps for our rings. Now, for this build, we're going to be using a set of Total Seal's TFX rings, and this is a line that they created because they're one of the huge proponents of using thinner ring packs in any engine. So for our build, we're going to be using a 1.2, 1.2 3mm set that matches our pistons. These are a 440B stainless top with our C56 proprietary face coating, a 1.2 steel Napier second ring, and then a standard tension oil control ring. And now there are a ton of huge benefits to running a thinner ring pack like this. A thinner ring like the TFX set has a few distinct advantages over bulkier ring sets. The big difference is the reduced surface area and pressure of the ring face contacting the cylinder wall, which reduces the amount of friction between the cylinder wall and the ring immensely. This is also true for the oil control ring pack, where a reduced thickness can lessen friction while still controlling oil properly. This not only frees up horsepower by reducing the force required to rotate the engine, but also reduces the wear on the cylinder walls. Thinner rings also have better conformity to the piston and cylinder wall itself, which improves its sealing on both, and a better sealed cylinder is like catching free horsepower. We are using our Summit Pro Ring Filer to set the ring gaps following Total Seal's recommendations. We like to err on the safer side, so we're setting the gaps at 23 thousandths on the top and 25 thousandths on the second. We can precisely remove the material from the rings in 1/1000th increments and then carefully deburr them with an abrasive stone. After squaring them in the bores, an even, light drag on the feeler gauge tells us we are right on size.
Finally, with everything cleaned, we can start prepping the main bearings for assembly with Hot Shot Secret Assembly Lube. This will provide protection for our 4-inch stroke Pro LS crank from assembly to the first startup. Each of the main caps are set in place and tapped into their registers with a rubber hammer to ensure they are fully seated. After preloading the crank in the forward position to align the thrust faces, the internal main bolts are torqued in the same sequence as earlier from the inside out. 15 pound-feet on all of them, followed by 80 degrees rotation on the inners and 51 more degrees on the outers. Since the side bolts are exposed, they receive some RTV underneath the head to prevent oil seepage before they are installed and torqued straight to 18 pound-feet.
The rod and piston assemblies can be assembled next. So the 6/125 long H-beams are set in the proper orientation with the heavy-duty 927 wrist pins. The Pro LS pistons come with a thick single spiral lock, which can be worked into place with your fingers and a small pocket screwdriver. Once they are all together, we can start loading the 4/125 bore pistons with their ring sets. Because of their 1/110 compression height, they use an oil support rail, and then the rings are installed from the bottom up. These pistons are a 2618 alloy, have a 23cc dish, and deep valve reliefs, so combined with the beefy wrist pins and H-beams, they can support quite a bit of power.
Each set are installed into the block with an ARP 4125 fixed ring compressor, and with the thin TFX rings, they can be installed by hand. Yeah, go ahead. Whoa. The rods are guided onto the journals from the bottom, and then the caps are installed in the correct orientation and snugged down with an impact for now. This ensures the bearings are concentric while all the assemblies are installed, and then the block can be flipped over to torque the rod bolts. They are tightened to 88 pound-feet, and each one is checked for the proper stretch, again, making sure they all land between 51 and 55 10/1000ths to achieve the proper clamp load for the fasteners. We can move on and install the camshaft. For this build, we are trying out one of Summit Racing's Big Gun Hydraulic Roller LS camshafts. It has durations at 50 thousandths lift of 242 on the intake and 251 on the exhaust, with a 116-degree lobe separation angle for that creamy, smooth idle. The lift at the valve is 626 thousandths on the intake and 604 thousandths on the exhaust.
After applying some assembly grease, this LSX-specific cam thrust retainer is installed to control camshaft end play and tightened with orange thread locker on the threads. A 3-bolt, 4-tooth double roller Summit timing set follows, and uses an ARP cam bolt kit that is torqued in place. To measure the camshaft's position relative to the crankshaft, we'll set up our degree wheel and check the intake lobe's center line before setting it right where we want, 105.75 degrees, which is 10¼ degrees advanced for this mild street application.
Before we go any further, it's time to carefully tape off the block and paint almost all the parts to give this engine a beautiful look. Making sure all the critical areas and ports are plugged, we can move everything into the paint booth and get started.
All right, it's time to dress this sucker up. So we have everything that we're gonna be painting here in our paint booth. It's been cleaned, taped off, it's ready to go. We're gonna hit everything with a POR 15 gray rust preventative coating, and then we'll move on to color. The rust preventive coating not only inhibits corrosion, but also gives everything a solid base coat for a uniform finish color. Okay, we're letting our rust preventive set up on all our parts, and we're getting ready with our color of choice for this build. It called for traditional Chevy orange. So everything's getting Chevy orange basically, except for a few key pieces. So it's really gonna pop, and it will have that cool old school look under the hood.
We, meaning Frankie, thinned the engine enamel around 10% so it can be sprayed through a paint gun. And our first coat is a medium coat to make sure we get proper coverage in all the nooks and crannies. After that, we can follow it up with a heavier coat that will allow the enamel to self-level and give us an extremely smooth and glossy finish.
Okay, everything is out of the paint booth for our 427 LS. Got everything fully cured and untaped, and it looks amazing. So what we're gonna do next is start putting this thing together. We're gonna get the bottom end sealed up and keep moving forward.
Providing lubrication to our 427 is a brand new melling oil pump with the spacer plate so it clears the timing set. 3 1.5 thousandths thick shims are placed between the drive hub and the inner gear to properly center the pump before the 10mm bolts are torqued to 35 pound-feet. The pickup is a FiTech unit that is installed with a black O-ring and 2 6mm ARP bolts that are torqued to 140 pound-inches. The pickup brace is attached to one of the outer main studs and is torqued to 34 pound-feet with thread locker, making sure to clean up the excess.
The color-matched Summit Racing timing cover is loosely bolted on before a centering tool is slid into the seal, the ends are squared to the handrail, and then the stainless bolts are hand-tightened. In the rear, a billet oil barbell is slid into the main oil passageway before it is covered up by a billet rear cover, which is also squared to the oil pan rail before being tightened down. Okay, we can finally seal this engine up. Now, if you've noticed, we're obviously trying to make this thing look as beautiful as we can. We've got a great paint job, and we've been using ARP's stainless steel bolts throughout the engine. The reason we love using these is because not only do they look good, ARP polishes every single stainless fastener that comes out of their factory for that brilliant finish, and the best part being stainless is it's not going to rust. But also, these are extremely strong. They're just not for looks. These are better than a grade 8 fastener. These have a tensile strength around 190,000 PSI. So what that means is that if you're relying on the fastener, like a lot of times you are in an engine, you want the best fastener you can use. If you use these, you have something that is immediately way better than you can get at a hardware store, and it looks beautiful. So if you have an engine that you've spent all this time prepping and painting, you're gonna want some stainless fasteners. And the great part is ARP makes kits of stainless fasteners for a bunch of different engines, for different parts of the engine. So they make oil pan bolt kits, intake bolt kits, timing cover bolt kits for a bunch of different applications. And if you can't find the one for your specific engine, they can make it for you. It's really not that big of a deal. You can call up ARP with the dimensions of the fastener you need, and they can special make it for you. So we're gonna get all of these in and then get this thing sealed up, flipped over.
Once all the bolts are in, a straight edge is used to make sure the rear face is flush with the bell housing flange for proper transmission mounting before tightening the oil pan. We are using a set of Summit Racing hydraulic roller lifters, which have been sitting in fresh engine oil for a bit to ensure proper lubrication. Because of the 6-bolt deck design, a conventional lifter tray will not work, but instead we have to use these LSX style retainers that are torqued in place with 6mm ARP bolts. We also have to use a 6-bolt Cometic MLS head gasket, and these have a 4/165 bore and a 27 thousandths compressed thickness. For an engine to make big horsepower, it needs big cylinder head flow, and we are going to be utilizing TrickFlow's newest offering, their Gen X 280 for LS3. We chose these specifically for our power level because they flow the right amount of air for what we're trying to do. They have a 2/165 stainless intake, a 1/600 Inconel exhaust. Inconel is important when you're building a lot of power, a lot of heat, especially in boosted applications. We also have a fully CNC'd 67cc combustion chamber. The intakes are 280cc. They are fully CNC'd. They flow 370s in the CFM department at 600 lift, but if you want to crank your lift up to over 700, they flow 393 CFM. Also, we have a really nicely sized exhaust that flows in the 250 range, 252 CFM. Now, also, we have a 1/300 spring that is set up for our valve train. We have a hydraulic roller cam, so they are set up for 150 pounds of seat pressure and 450 pounds of open. They have a titanium retainer and a machine lock. These are a 6-bolt configuration. In addition to the 4 main bolts, we have 2 other bolts that help seal up all that combustion pressure. We are going to have to install some studs before it goes on the block, so we're going to get that done.
4 of the 8mm studs thread into each of the cylinder heads, and then they can carefully be slid onto the decks. The remaining 11mm and 8mm studs can drop in, and then the ARP nuts are torqued with Ultra Torque Lube to 80 pound-feet and 28 pound-feet respectively. Okay, for this build, like every other build, we've measured for our specific pushrod length. Got a set of TrickFlow 7/800 long 5/16 chrome moly pushrods with an 80 thousandths wall thickness, high pressure lube on both ends.
These TrickFlow 280s have clearance for up to a 3/8 inch pushrod, but for our application, these are more than capable of handling the hydraulic roller valve train. A set of 8mm rocker studs thread in hand tight next, followed by the rocker stands that came with the heads. An LS3 style rocker arm set is required because of the offset intake rocker, but instead of finding and upgrading a stock set, we opted to get a completely new set from Summit Racing that have a roller bearing trunnion, upgraded oiling, and increased webbing for strength. They are installed at TDC compression stroke in pairs on each cylinder following the LS firing order and are torqued to 28 pound-feet.
A Gen 4 valley cover that follows the orange theme is quickly tightened down with ARP stainless bolts and then can be topped with new paper gaskets and our EFI intake manifold. This is a TrickFlow LS3 R Series that has a 4150 flange, includes Dash 8 fuel rails, and is sized to match these cylinder heads. After pre-lubing the valve train, we will seal up the engine with a set of Phytech valve covers and send it to the test cell. Our 427 is on a dyno cart and here in the dyno cell. We have got this thing almost fully dressed up, so it's ready to go. We have our dyno headers on it with a 1 7/8 primary, 3-inch collector. We also, as you can see, got this beautiful black front drive on it. This is from Summit Racing Equipment. It's an Eddy Motorsports front drive, and it has all the accessories that this thing would need. SD7 AC compressor, 1-wire 170 amp alternator, power steering. This thing is set up and ready to go, so we are one step closer to dynoing this thing.
And the final thing to get our 427 running is the injection system. And we picked up this Phytech Ultimate LS system. This is a standalone system. It will work on either Gen 3 or Gen 4 LSs. It doesn't matter which reluctor wheel, 24 or 58, doesn't matter which cam. This can do it all. This ECU also can control the transmission. Any 4 Series electronic transmission, you can set it up and it will run the transmission as well. It comes with everything you need, from the ECU, a complete wiring harness. It is a self-learning system. It contains 2 O2 sensors, a touch screen so it is easy to get set up no matter what your skill level is, and also has a 3-bar map sensor in case you want to run some boosts up to about 30 PSI. Because we have that conventional 4150 style intake manifold, we have a 4150 style air valve for the top. Now this looks just like an old style carburetor, so it's going to work for what it's going in. We also picked up a set of coils for these. Now these are really cool because they have a blue LED indicator light that tells you that the coil is working. So if you have a problem and you don't know if the coil is firing or not, the blue light will tell you so. Along with that, we also picked up some 55-pound injectors, and that will be perfect for what our power level will be. This is a very user-friendly system, so it's easy to plug and play. So we're going to get it on the engine.
This system is designed to be easy to install and set up, so it is a perfect standalone EFI system for LS swaps. Not only can adjustments be made to fueling and spark targets, but the system has features like individual fuel trim controls for each bank, tuning adjustments for the electronic automatic transmissions, dual fan outputs, and a laptop tuning software if you want to get more involved. Once all the components are bolted in place, we only have to plug in the sensor connectors, which are clearly labeled, hook up the ECU, and then we can load a calibration and fire it up. With our 427 all wired up for our EFI, there's one last thing we need to do, which is the same for every engine, and that is fill it with a high quality oil for not only our initial start, but also the dyno session we're about to put this thing through. So we are filling it with Schaefer's Supreme 7000 Series 10W30 oil. The reason we're using this is it is considered a racing oil, but it's perfect for our 427 because it has been formulated to have an extreme amount of protection for those high performance applications like circle track racing, drag racing, things like that. It has a really good host of friction modifiers, so it has improved shear strength and wear resistance, which is going to help to keep from our metal parts from touching on that initial break-in, initial startup, and during those wide open throttle runs. It also has great resistance to oxidation and thermal breakdown, which makes it awesome for the street as well, because in a street engine, you can get extremely high oil temps. You get stuck in traffic or something like that, oil temps start climbing, it's really hard to get them back down, and we want an oil that's gonna continue to provide protection for our engine and not break down and start letting parts wear. It also does have extra zinc added, which is perfect if you're running like a flat tappet cam. It can help with that break-in process, make sure that you have proper protection for that, but it also works great in a roller engine like this one. We need 6 quarts of this. We're gonna get it in our pressurizer tank and then get this thing primed. Okay, our 427 is on the dyno. It's running beautifully. It started right up. We got the Phytech up to temperature. Started to get it learning. Basically, it's going to populate the VE table. It's going to make corrections as it gets up to temperature, figures out what the engine wants. We have relatively safe targets set up right now. So we have a target, I believe, of 26 or 27 degrees total timing.
That sounds right.
Yeah, one of those. And air fuel is relatively safe at 12.8. So what we're gonna do,
This coffee's hot.
yeah, be careful. What else is hot is this engine.
Well,
'cause it looks
well, that's good.
awesome.
All right, so
and runs great. Here we go.
I like it. That's
Loads right in, so smooth.
super smooth load in.
Good oil pressure.
And oil pressure's good. Yeah. Yeah. Smooth sailing.
I mean, that's the great thing about these fuel injection systems.
Oh,
They've gotten so
absolutely.
good. You can literally, I mean, go full throttle at 2,500 and it just loads right in.
We're very, very good. We are at 490.5 pound-feet. Very nice. That looks like it's
Yep, what is that?
5,100.
Nice.
And 519.8 horse pressures at 6,100.
Man, maybe I need glasses because you can read that.
Well, I have my glasses on. Okay, so
But that's nice.
here's the important part. We got the cam, put way forward.
Yep.
Notice how even on a gigantic, really good cylinder head, we're trending off at 6,500.
Yeah, I mean,
that is by design though.
That's a killer starting point.
Yeah.
Let's start tuning on it. What do you want to do first?
Well, we always do timing, right? So if this was our carbo-hooted thing, we would be actually time for torque and jet for horsepower. We're not gonna be doing any jetting, we're gonna do an electronical jetting.
Yeah.
But the timing is still the same. Nice thing about this, no distributor to turn, to go out there and hit the old keypad. Very, very good. So I'm gonna do that myself.
All right, let's make some changes.
We've been pounding on this thing for a while, which is great. It does everything it's supposed to. Oil pressure is great. Everything's been going well. With timing and fuel adjustments, we've got it up to 29 degrees of timing. Good chambers, you don't usually eclipse 30 on something like this. This right here, give her a go and see where we're at.
See what we got here.
Nice job, Superflow, on that servo control.
Yeah. That run right there was at 508.5 pound-feet.
Nice.
And I see 537.8 at the top there.
So sweet.
So that's just fuel and timing adjustments, getting this thing a little bit happier where it wants to be. What we could do we could throw a spacer on it.
I mean,
shut her down.
I'm all for a spacer.
Let's try a spacer. All right, we've added a 1.5 inch 4-hole tapered spacer. We're gonna see what that does.
It'll definitely do one of three things. It'll do nothing, it'll do something, or it'll stay the same. That's a little better.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, baby. Now we're talking. We are at 541 horse pressures and 514.7 pound-feet. At the same peaks too.
I mean, that's pretty good. That's a noticeable gain as far as here on the dyno.
Because you got to keep in mind, we are at under 10 to 1, right?
Yeah.
Now, is that bad? No. Is it absolutely pump gas friendly? If you put some 87 rot gut in this thing, it will not care. It won't destroy itself.
I kind of view this engine as like a Swiss Army knife of engines, right? Like, it is a great NA street pump gas combo. You can run this all day. It's got great parts in it. It's never going to hurt itself. You want to put 15 PSI to it, it will absolutely take it. It'll make over 1,000 horsepower. It'll do it all day long. You know, no leaks, looks great, runs great. What more do you want?
This thing is so nice because it literally bolts together off the shelf, everything. Not a custom piston, not a custom rod, not a custom anything. Like I always say, get it success.
Hours later.
All right, now for the transmission, you've already seen this in between the frame rails already, but I wanted to go ahead and talk to you about it a little bit. This is a 4L80E 4-speed transmission, automatic from GearStar Performance Transmissions. Now this particular one is what they call a level 4, so this one will handle 800 horsepower. Now we've matched it up with a Yank torque converter, 2800 stall on that torque converter. It'll be perfect for that engine there. They actually run this on a transmission dyno, make sure everything works great, and they'll send you the video of your transmission on the dyno. See if Anthony's got that engine ready to go.
All right, we got a 427 coming your way.
All righty.
See if we can't get this thing together.
Tension off this thing here, get it off the stand. All right, that'll work. Free bird.
Going up.
Get it up here on the table and we get these two together. All right, come your way. Do-si-do.
Do-si-do.
Down she go. All right, now before we made up our transmission to the engine, a couple things we got to check. Now, one thing, our torque converter is already installed. If yours is not, it's very simple. You'll take the torque converter, slide it on the input shaft, and typically you feel like 3 distinct clunks as the splines mesh up. And then the end of the hub of the torque converter, make sure it's engaged into the pump of the transmission. You'll make sure it's set back far enough. And then another thing is the hub on the back side of the torque converter here, make sure this diameter is the same, or that should be a little bit smaller than in the back of your crankshaft, so it'll slide inside of it. That's what locates and holds the front of that torque converter there. Now we've already got our flex plate here from Summit Racing. This flex plate is SFI approved. It's a billet steel flex plate, so it's going to be strong enough for our application here. All that's good. Let's just slide it together and get it bolted up.
Ready to rip?
Just get it up on the dowels there. All right, that's started.
Torque to
37 foot-pounds. Now, Gearstar offers a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on their transmissions once you register it with them and provide one critical measurement down here, the torque converter to the flex plate clearance. Now, right now, the torque converter is all the way into the pump, and it's not up against that flex plate. There's a gap there. We have to measure that and record that. If it's too much of a gap, what happens when you tighten it up to that flex plate, it's going to disengage from the pump and cause premature failure. So we're going to go ahead and get this measured. A couple ways you could do that with some feeler gauges to measure that gap. If you don't have feeler gauges, you could take a couple of drill bits. We've got a 3/16 and an 1/8" drill bit. So it's kind of like a go, no-go gauge. Most of you have some drill bits there. You could slide up in that gap and see how much you got there. So I've got our feeler gauges set up right here. Let's see here. I can get that measurement from the back side. All right, right between that pad, right there. Okay, take that. And you could add them all up or just take some calipers and measure it out. And that puts us right there, 125 on the small side. So we're good on our measurements. Now we'll go ahead and get it bolted up to the flex plate. And now the next part, we got to attach the torque converter to the flex plate. And it can be a little bit tricky because the only access to it is where the starter would be in this general area. So you had to make sure the starter's off. You get access to that bolt hole. You know, we'll take our bolts. I already put some red thread locker on there. We'll get them started. I don't like to tighten them one at a time. I get them all started and then we'll go back and tighten them. It's always good to have an extra set of hands as you can work here and your buddy can turn the engine over. Like Anthony, go ahead, turn to the next one there, pal.
I got you, bro.
All right, you can see that there. So there we go. We'll just go ahead and get them all started and then we'll go back and torque them. A couple more here, go ahead. Okay, grab a torque wrench. We'll set this to 46 foot-pounds. Why? Not 46 versus 40. That's just what they say. I'm not going to argue with them.
Don't argue. It helps having that wobble extension on it, I would imagine.
On this little angle, yeah. One. Okay. All right, well, with all that bolted up, tightened up, she's ready to get back in the frame rails there.
You want to slap that starter on first?
Yeah, I'll grab the starter. You want to grab another strap for the transmission?
Let's do it.
All right, now I've got most of our fuel lines and brake lines fabbed up and installed on the truck. I added a couple of plates to give us a mounting point for the bulkheads. And what that's going to do is allow us to break the line up a little bit so we can navigate through all these components like our cross member and the brackets here from where we shorten the chassis. So it makes it a little bit easier to make those lines. So we got one more to do up front, but now we're going to kick it over to the exhaust.
And the exhaust is going to start with these headers you see sitting right here. Now, normally you don't see a long tube header like this in these extreme lowered trucks, but Jason Van Natta over at Van Natta Fab actually turned us on to this little trick here using these Doug's headers made for a 64 through 72 A-body GM car. Now, they fit really well. They tuck in between the frame rails. They don't get too high, and they don't hang too low, which can be a real problem with these lower trucks. So they're going to be a good starting point for our exhaust system.
Yeah, for me, I love to have the exhaust within the frame rails of the vehicle so they're not underneath, they don't look too ugly.
Well, with the truck being this low, you have to.
Exactly, right. But then on the back of the truck, we've got a lot going on with the airbags, the trailing arms, the rear end's going to have a lot of movement between lowered and that ride height position.
Yeah, not to mention we have so much stuff back there, it's just going to be a nightmare to try to get back.
Yeah, so we don't really have a lot of real estate for tailpipes out the back. So we're going to go with a little bit shorter exhaust system, kind of go right behind the cab, dump it down. I think that'll work out fine. The engine, it doesn't have much compression, so it's not going to be very loud.
Yeah. We got this little bullet style muffler we're going to put right here. Go underneath this cross member. Our driveline angles kind of dictated where this cross member had to be, and of course it had to be right in the middle of the frame rail.
Right.
So we got to deal with that, but I have a couple tricks that I want to show you though here over at the table to get your exhaust system cut right and fit nice and tight. So I'm going to head over there right now.
All right, I'm going to get this other header on.
Sounds good. So whenever you're building a custom exhaust system, you're going to deal with a kit that comes with a lot of different bends. And you have to make sure that you cut each one of these bends right, or you're going to end up fighting yourself when you go to weld it. So this is a 180-degree bend. And what we need to find on this is what we call the centerline radius. And that's going to be directly in the middle of whatever bend you're using, whether it's a 45, a 90, or a 180 like this. And so I have it drawn out here on a manila folder, and I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. So each one of these bends is going to have some kind of straight leg on it. So we're going to find where that straight leg starts, and we're going to make a line across, just like so. And then we're going to find the center line of that bend, and we're going to make another line. And then where those intersect is what's going to give us the straight cut that we need for whatever angle that we're going to be running. So say we want to do something like that. And this is how the guys that are doing the pie cuts, this is how they do it. They find the center line radius, and then they just incrementally go around it, and that's what gives them their pie cut. So we'll set like this, and right there in that intersection, put the point on it, draw a line, and that's gonna give you a nice straight cut. And so if you didn't do that and you cut it at an angle to the center line radius and it was running more vertically like that, you're gonna have it's gonna look like a football. And when you go to weld that, you're gonna have a big gap on the top and the bottom, and it's gonna be a nightmare to weld. So you don't wanna do that. So now what we have to do over here on the truck is we had to get underneath that cross member. So I already cut these up here, and basically all I did was take a piece out of the bottom of that U-bend and did that just like so. And then I figured out, this is about a 45-degree angle, and that got us underneath of that cross member. And it gives us a nice straight line from the header over here to get us to the back of the truck on this side. So let's get this back over on the truck. We'll get this tacked up, and we'll show you what it looks like. All right, we'll slide this in here. Now, as you can see, this is a little bit above the frame rail, so I kind of got to angle this down a little bit so I get nice and flush with the top of the frame rail. Looks pretty good right about there. All right, so you just want to tack it in one spot so you're able to move it around. All right, get our piece here. See how we're looking. Now I'm trying to give a little bit of clearance under the cross member because I don't want anything actually touching. So when we go back and we put our brackets on, we got some space. All right, so I think I'm gonna need to use rod on this. Hey Mike, can you give me a hand over here?
Okay.
Okay.
What you got?
Just hold that. I gotta use rod.
Something like...
Something nice and tight. Ooh, you're a brave man not using gloves. I'll do my best.
Don't make sparks.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, we'll get this tacked in. Now, it's a good rule of thumb to make sure that both the inside and outside of whatever tube you're welding is nice and clean, especially with stainless. All right, let's get our little bullet muffler in here, see how we're looking. All right, come on down a little bit, Mike. Yeah, I think that'll be good. All right, well, to close our exhaust system out, I'm gonna break one of the rules that we just talked about, and instead of going to my centerline radius, I'm actually gonna run parallel to it, so that creates our turn down. Now, I got one more little trick here. To find your centerline radius, and that's just using any old hose clamp, you put that on, tighten it down, and that's gonna give you, it's gonna keep square, and it's gonna find your centerline radius without you having to do anything. Now, you do enough of these exhaust systems, and it kind of just comes second nature, and you'll be able to mark it out. Let's go ahead and let's get this thing cut out. Well, all right, as you can see now we have a nice turn down for the end of our exhaust, you know, and it doesn't matter that this is gonna be oblong because it's the tip. So let's go get this thing tacked on the truck and then we're just gonna be about done with this. All right, see what we're looking like here. Yeah. Look at that, nice and simple. Well, hey guys, we got our old Project Cream Puff in the prep booth today and out of the shop.
Yeah, so take a look at it. It's the last time you're gonna see it in the red and white colors. We make a big transformation to what?
What do you think, yellow and white?
Yellow and white, but you know, it's kind of a little throwback to the original color, but this is gonna have a little kick to it.
Yeah, a little sparkle, maybe a little pearl in it. But before we can get to that pretty paint, we gotta get to sanding. So let's get to it.
Now we're not taking this truck down to the bare metal, so the pre-existing paint, well, we need to scuff it up. So I'm gonna use a 180 on my DA before we hit it with some high build primer. Now I'm gonna keep sanding until I see that shine gone from the surface. That lets me know there's enough tooth for the primer to stick.
All right, with Mike busy plugging away on the outside of our cap, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the inside. And I'm gonna start here with the jam. Now, I've already removed our weather stripping adhesive, which you know, if you've ever done it, can be a real pain in the ass. But I found the best way to do it is with a wire brush, and then go ahead and wipe it with a little bit of that specialty adhesive remover, and it takes it right off. Takes some elbow grease, but you get it done. So the way I'm gonna tackle this, I'm gonna hit the tight spots with a little bit of red Scotch-Brite, and then the longer flat spots, I'm gonna hit either long block or I'm gonna DA it. All we're trying to do is get some tooth for that primer to stick to. So let's get to it. Some things I'm good at, taping and papering, not one of them.
Oh man, you gotta do your X pattern on the inside.
I ain't doing no X pattern. I'm gonna do a whatever shape this is pattern on the outside.
We'll cross it up here. That'll do, donkey. That'll do.
All right, so we already hit this with some wax and grease remover. Now I'm just wiping it down with a tack cloth, and we'll be ready to shoot.
So the first thing we're gonna spray is this high build primer. Now it's almost like a sprayable filler. It's gonna fill in some minor imperfections, get us a good base to get going. This stuff mixes at a 4-to-1 ratio between the primer itself and the catalyst. Get it mixed up, get it sprayed.
Choose a high build primer that's appropriate for your project's material, whether it's steel, fiberglass, maybe plastic. When using a polyester high build primer like the one on this project, you gotta use a large fluid nozzle on your spray gun. In our case, the material recommends a 2.0 nozzle or larger. You're basically spraying a milkshake. I'll apply the primer by laying down thin, even coats to avoid runs or sags while still filling surface imperfections. Allow each coat to dry fully according to the manufacturer's instructions, as drying times vary based on the product and the conditions. We're going to spray 3 coats to make sure we have full coverage. All right, with all our parts and our high build primer, it's time for my favorite part of it, which is hitting it with the long block.
All right, 4 to 1 to 2, right there. Well, all right, well, we've got all of our body panels ready to paint. Now, that process included sanding them down, hit them with the high build primer, sanding that down, then the 2K primer, and we finally sanded that nice and smooth, and we're ready for paint. That step is gonna be our sealer, paint, and clear. Now, all these chemicals you see here from House of Color. It's always a good idea when you're painting, all your chemicals be from the same company that provides a good, consistent finish there. Now, for our color, we're going with the House of Color Shimmer & 2 system. Now, this stuff is really unique and lets you personalize your color touch to your personality there. You can mix up many different of these effects packs with their different carrier bases to get that color you're looking for. And I think we've got a good combination with our yellow and white you'll have to see later on. So now that we've got this stuff ready to go, let's mix up some sealer. Anthony will get laid down. We'll move over to the paint.
A sealer solves several common issues. It fills in light scratches, it reduces the appearance of minor imperfections, and it improves paint adhesion. This helps prevent the top coat from running and ensures a smoother, more even finish.
While Anthony's spraying our sealer, I'm gonna go ahead and mix up our paint. Now, the name of our paint color is called Snowstorm, and it starts out with our S202 carrier base, the Celestial White, and then the effects pack, well, this one is Striking Gold Effects. Now, the cool thing about this stuff here is when you crack it open, they'll send it to you. It's not really full all the way, so what you do, as you can see, it's a little bit low there, and then you'll take your effects pack here, shake it up really good. All right, crack our seal, and dump this in here, okay? All of it real nice. Let all of it get out of there. Let me get all that pearl, okay? You can see kind of that effect there, all right? Now, we'll close this back up and put it on the shaker to get that all mixed up really nice. All right, with it mixed up, let's check it out here. Give it a little stir. Oh, you can see that light reflecting on that pearl coming out. That looks good. All right, now we gotta hit it with some reducer and get it in the gun so you can spray it out. Rock and roll.
Now that we're in the paint booth, the first thing I'm gonna do is make sure my gun is spraying correctly. I like to have a piece of paper on the wall for this, making sure my air pressure, fluid knob, and fan are all working in perfect harmony. I'll adjust each to ensure I have a nice even spray pattern from top to bottom and side to side. Then we can start laying down our pearl paint.
With the base coat laid down, it's time to hit it with the clear coat. Now, this stuff mixes a 3:1:1 ratio. 3 parts of our clear, 1 part catalyst, and 1 part reducer. All right, with our white laid down, it's time to get to the yellow. Now, the yellow, the name of this one is gonna be Galactic Sand. It consists of the lunar yellow, along with the effects pack right here, this brass pearl. So we'll get this opened up, and we gotta mix this up as well, just like the white.
For their pearl paints, House of Color recommends a 70% overlap, meaning each pass will cover the previous pass by 70%, ensuring complete coverage and mitigating the risk of tiger stripes and blotching. Each paint and primer you're spraying will have a different overlap recommendation, so following manufacturer's instruction is critical. Well, as you can see, we've peeled all the paper and all the tape off this cab, and man, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I think you did a great job laying down that paint.
Thanks, man. Not bad for a welder, huh?
No, it looks great. I think we get this thing outside, the sun is gonna hit this, make that pearl really pop.
Oh yeah, once this thing's outside in the sun, it's gonna come to life. That's
Right.
for sure.
So with the cab, I think this was our most difficult component to paint, with the white on the top, the yellow on the inside, the yellow on the outside. So I'm glad we got that knocked out and it looks good. Now we just gotta do the rest of the pieces there.
Yeah, we got a lot of paint still to do, so why don't you say we get this thing out of the booth and get some more pieces in here.
If you remember last time we were with you, we were able to knock out this house of color, galactic sand yellow and the white combination and make that pearl really pop. Now it's time for final assembly.
And final assembly is actually already started on our chassis. And you can probably tell it's a different color than the last time you saw it. So we sent this thing over to Blast from the Past. They went through it, sandblasted everything, and put this beautiful gloss black powder on it. Now this is actually a 2-stage powder. So they go through it and they spray the black and then they put a clear coat on top of it. Makes it extremely durable and it gives it the sheen that you see sitting here. And then up front, we got a couple other things we're gonna be doing here that's gonna help us steer and get this thing stopping.
Yeah, for the steering rack right here, well, we went with this Duralast unit. Now, this is a power steering rack and pinion setup. It's gonna bring this truck in the modern age as far as the steering on it as well. Now, this Duralast steering rack, well, it's been subject to extreme testing and advanced engineering, which will make it perfect for our C10. Now, the beauty of this one is it's just a simple Mustang 2 front steering rack there, and it works perfectly with that drop member from Porterbuilt. Now that Duralast power rack and pinion setup is gonna keep this truck going in the right direction. But for the elevation, well, Anthony's gonna walk you through that.
And the first part of that elevation equation is our Porterbuilt drop members we have in the front and rear. Now the second part comes from Summit Racing in this AccuAir E-Level kit that they sell as one part number. Gives you everything you need to control our air ride. And it's gonna start with this tank. So this is AccuAir's Indo VT tank, and what makes this really trick is the valves are actually inside the air tank. Makes it very simple to install with all the push-to-connect connectors you need on the tank already, along with your solenoid control valves, and a pretty trick piece on here that's called flow control. So when you have an air ride vehicle, the back's usually gonna be lighter than the front, given that the engine's in the front, and it's gonna go up and down at different rates. And what that flow control allows you to do is actually slow down the rear so that it goes up and down at the same rate. Now, we have to install a few things on here, and that's gonna start with the compressors and the ECU. So let's get to it. All right, up next, we'll grab the ECU here. Slide that out. There should be a pressure sensor right here. So this little pretty black box you see here, this is the brains of this complete AccuAir system. This controls the valves that's inside the tank. It controls the pressure sensor on the side of the tank, and it controls another little goodie that we're gonna be putting on here in a minute. It's fully RGB lit, so you can change it to any color that your truck is, and it's also Bluetooth, so you can control it by the AccuAir app. So let's go ahead and let's get this thing installed on the truck. All right, we'll go ahead and get this mounted up with these threaded holes in the billet body. All right, so we got this thing mounted, which you probably already noticed is a pretty trick piece from PB Fab. It's actually a bed riser, and it serves a dual purpose that you can mount the tank, 2 compressors, and an ECU in. I haven't had to drill any holes. It's a really nice piece. So next up, we got that in. We're gonna go ahead and grab the compressors. All right, so our kit comes with Vier's 485C compressor. Now it's a 100% duty cycle at 200 PSI, which is what this tank is rated for, so it's the perfect fit. Now you gotta have really small fingers to get in there, but we'll make it work. All right, so we got our ECU in, we got our compressors all tightened. That's the main heart of the system. We're almost there. Now we're actually not gonna plumb or wire any of this together yet. We're gonna wait till we get the bed and the cab on. That way we can make sure everything's tidy and nice and clean. Now there is one more piece you gotta put into this tank, and that's the pressure sensor here. I'm gonna go ahead and get to that, and then we can move on to the next. With the meat and potatoes already installed in the rear of our chassis, it's time to move on to the front and put the cherry on top of this air ride system. And we're gonna be doing that by installing AccuAir's E-Level Plus system. Now it includes these ride height sensors that you mount at each corner, and what these do is it moves with the wheel travel, and it's gonna send information back to the ECU, telling where it is in its wheel travel, sending air to it or taking air out, giving you a nice level ride no matter what kind of weight you have in it or what you're doing on the road. Now, another cool thing it does, it gives you 3 programmable heights that you can set it. You can have it all the way laid out, so if you want to drive around a show, kind of just cruise around, you can have it in ride height. And then the third one where I put my truck is if I'm loading on the trailer, I'll set that on that so I can just hit that button, it goes up, and I put it on the trailer. So let's go ahead, we're gonna get these on the chassis. All right, so first things first, we gotta figure out where we wanna have our sensor mounted. And that looks to be about where I'm gonna have it. Now we already have these brackets here. We got these from Porterbuilt and they mount to the control arm. If you don't have those, you could also, tap into the control arm, but this is a much cleaner way to do it. So we know we wanna be about right there. I'm gonna throw a piece of tape up here. All right, what this tape's gonna do, it's gonna allow us to make some marks and kind of get some measurements, keep them right in front of our face so we can't mess up. All right, so we'll get a general idea of where we want this. And I'm thinking somewhere right there. It's always good practice to keep these sensors pointed down. That way, if water ever gets down, if you had these mounted up, water be getting down in there, and that's no good for sensors and electrical stuff. All right, so we put a mark here right in the center of where the mounting holes are gonna be, and that just gives us an idea of where this is gonna live. All right, so the next thing you wanna do is we're gonna have to take a couple measurements, and so we're gonna have to get it into full bump, and then we're gonna have it in full droop, and we're gonna have to measure from this point down to our mark here. So I'm just gonna, kind of sight it over, and that way we can get our numbers. All right, so now that we're at full bump, we can go ahead and take a measurement from here down to this line, and that's gonna give us our full bump measurement. We'll write that down on our piece of tape. All right, so now we'll let the jack down and get it in full droop. It's always a good idea to press down, make sure you're actually in full droop, which we are. And so we'll do that same thing, measure from our linkage mounting point from here to this line. And we'll write that number down. All right, so it looks like 4.5. So 4.5. So we're gonna subtract these two numbers, which gives us 2 inches of difference. So now that we got our numbers of travel on the control arm, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna mount our sensor onto the frame with some 2-sided tape. Now, the reason we got those numbers is it dictates which hole we're gonna use on this arm. So the first hole on this, it gives you 1 inch of travel. The second hole gives you 2 inches, and then the third and fourth, so on and so forth. We know that we have 2 inches, so I'm gonna most likely be using this second hole. But the only way to truly know this and to not break this sensor is by using the 2-sided tape. So let's go ahead and get that mounted on the frame. I'm putting it right back in the middle of my line. Get it stuck on nice and good because we're gonna actually cycle the suspension with it taped up here. All right, so the next thing we wanna do is get our linkage arm and bolt it up to our mounting point. All right, so we went ahead and we put this at full bump. So we're gonna put this arm all the way up to where it mimics where it's gonna be at full bump, and then we're gonna take a measurement to the center of our hole, and that's where the end of the eyelet's gonna be. So then we'll go ahead and we'll put the heim back on here where the eyelet is right at our mark, and we'll cut it to wherever we need it to be. All right, so we got our linkage rod and we got it all marked. Now we gotta make sure we're cutting it in the right spot. And the spot has to be in the center of this heim joint, since it's in the center of that arm is where I measured to. So we're gonna go ahead and put that right on the center of that line. Make another mark here so that we're getting full thread engagement into the heim joint. And that should be the spot we're cutting to. Let's get it cut. All right, so we got that all cut up. We got our heim threaded onto our rod. Now you wanna make sure when you're doing this that these heims aren't getting overextended in any direction. They have a limited amount that they actually swivel. So you just gotta pay attention to that. Make sure you're not putting it in a bind. All right, so AccuAir sends all the hardware with it, and they even send these little standoffs. And again, remember, we're putting it in a second hole here, which is 2 inches. Bolt through the heim. All right, we'll let it fall to full droop, cycle it back to full bump, and make sure there's no binding, and we should be good to go. We're back at full bump. Everything seems to be pretty happy. I'd say that we're pretty good to go ahead and use a transfer punch a couple holes here, and get this thing mounted to the frame. All right, so we got this all buttoned up. All of our sensors are in. I gotta run some air lines, finish up the electrical, and then this thing's gonna be good to go.
When it comes to building these hot rods, there's a few items that really have to stand out to put the truck over the top. And for me, it's the engine. And for us in our C10, well, we're going with this 427 cubic inch LS-based engine that our buddies down at Engine Power put together. They built it for boost, and that's what we're gonna do today is add a supercharger, starting with this harmonic balancer. Let's get it installed. I've got a little oil on the end of it here for the seal and some copper slip. Slide right onto that crankshaft hub there. Make sure our keyway is lined up. I like to put the crankshaft at 12 o'clock. All right. Now this specific harmonic balancer matches up with the ProCharger accessory drive. That's why we have a pulley on the inside of the hub and it will get attached here. Now these balancers, you need to press them on. You don't want to use the bolt to draw it on. So you can get a fancy tool that goes on there and presses it on, or you can make something as simple as this right here with some threaded rod, a little bearing, a little nut on the end, welded it up, press that on. That's what we're going to use. Just get threaded in here. That's the same size of crankshaft threads there. We're going to run this all the way in. That. Line the nut up on this bearing. So I'm going to hold this one. Then we'll tighten this one. All right, she stopped right there. That's not bottomed out, so that's good. And we'll just back this off and then take this out. All right, time for the crank bolt. I'm gonna put a little silicone on the face of this washer right here to keep any oil from seeping out over time. And then our ARP lube on the threads and the other face. Oh, where's the little stick? Guess I gotta use my finger. Then when we tighten this up, it's always nice to have a friend to hold the back of the engine from rotating.
Is that my cue there, Mike? Coming on in, brother.
So we'll run this up by hand and then we'll get the torque wrench out. All right. We'll torque this up to a whopping 235 foot-pounds. All right. It's good to go. Now the heart of our dampener we got here from Summit Racing is this outer shell. Now the main thing is you have to get this clocked correctly on the hub. If you notice they put a little dot that I hit with a silver Sharpie, and then they put a mark right here on the outside. You have to line those up to get them clocked correctly there. So slide this on, okay. Now we'll get our hardware in. Now we've got multiple levels of hardware here, some that go for just the hub, some that go back to this pulley as well. But each hole has to have some hardware in it so it's balanced correctly there. And then these long ones go through here and they attach the back pulley right here. Now we'll torque these to 16 foot-pounds. And the last piece is the supercharger pulley. We'll put it on here and make sure you get some red thread locker on these bolts as well. And we'll torque these 18 foot-pounds. All right, so the next piece to our ProCharger puzzle is the water pump here. Now, if you ever notice on water pumps, you'll see this little hole right here. That's called the weep hole, and that should stay dry. If you ever see water or coolant coming out of that weep hole, well, that tells you the bearings and the seals inside your water pump are starting to fail, and it's time to replace it. So, a little telltale there, got my gaskets on. Let's set this up here. Now, these are just temporary bolts, as we'll pull these out and get the other brackets on here. They'll get sandwiched all together. So we'll run these down. Now we're here, we'll put that pulley on. Now I've got some thread locker on these. Make sure they don't ever back out. All right. All right, while we're over here, we're gonna get our thermostat installed. Now this one's from Duralast. It's a 180-degree thermostat. But the unique thing about this one is this little guy right here, that's called your jiggle valve. That purpose of that is to allow any air that may be trapped in to bypass when the thermostat is closed. So the important part when you have a jiggle valve on your thermostat is to mount it at the 12 o'clock position. That's the only way the air is gonna leak past it. So we're gonna go ahead and set this in here. And then our water neck is over here. Next is the power steering pump bracket, followed by the power steering pump. Next, we have to install our power steering pump pulley. Now, this is a press fit design, so anything you want your pump already on it, and how deep we press this, well, that's gonna be dependent on lining it up with the other pulley on the crankshaft. Now, to do this, you really need a tool like this to press that on. Well, that'll go into the center there. If you don't have one, you can go down to your local parts store. They have these where you can rent. I'm always renting tools, it seems like, when I'm working on stuff at home. I'm gonna push this on until it lines up with our inner pulley. All right, passes the eye test. Get the belt on. Well, we're powering through our ProCharger package today. We've already got our harmonic balancer installed, our water pump, and our power steering pump all set up from our kit from ProCharger. Now, they've provided us all these accessories to go on our engine. Now, more than likely for your application, you can reuse your accessories, but this kit is actually designed for a first-gen Camaro because we worked with them. That's the beauty of working with ProCharger on the measurements, the design, everything, the layout of your engine bay to match up to what you need specifically. As we keep on going, next bracket here, it's gonna go right up here on the cylinder head. We'll get that installed. All right, with the bolts and spacers on there, get this guy on the bracket. Now, the heart of our ProCharger kit right here is a centrifugal supercharger. This is their D1X head unit. It will put out over 1,000 horsepower and up to 32 pounds of boost. Now, that's way more than what we're trying to achieve. If I can get about 8 pounds, that'd be perfect for us. Now, we've already got the main bracket attached to the engine. Let's get this on. Now, when doing these custom applications, you always run into roadblocks or unintended consequences. For us, the first one here with this supercharger set up, all these tall valve covers had a little interference, so we went ahead and cleared that out, and then we'll address that later. And to spin that supercharger, we'll get our belt on here. I think I'm gonna need another hand. Anthony, you wanna give me a hand?
You need a hand?
Yeah, putting this belt on
Let's
here.
see what you got going on.
Let's see. Hold that. And then we gotta remove that tensioner. So hold that belt right there and I'll hold the tensioner. Well, just, there we go.
Are we gonna?
Yep, right, yep, yep. So that's as far as I go there. Boom. Look good?
Yeah.
We'll release the tension.
Well, that was easy.
There you go.
That's all you needed?
That's all we needed.
All right, I'm out of here.
All right. Now we've got our air conditioning compressor, alternator. That's all we got left to do. With our temporary bolts removed from the water pump, we can get our lower alternator mount on here mounted loosely, and we get the alternator installed. Now for our alternator, we got this one from Summit Racing. It's a PowerMaster unit for 220 amps. That should be plenty to keep up with our electrical demands. There we go. Next one. Okay, now we can tighten all that down. Now the next piece to go on is our air conditioning compressor. And a little tip here for you on these, well, you got your compressor clutch coil down here and you send power to it to energize it. Well, to complete the electrical circuit, you need power and ground. And the way that that grounds out is through the case of the compressor back to the block. So whenever you have these special coatings like the black stuff we have here, you're gonna knock that off all the way back to the block so it has a good ground circuit. Now, get this on this bracket on the engine. All right, we'll tie all these accessories together. Hey, give me a hand before you sit down over there.
Talking to me?
Yeah.
What you got going on?
Let's get this belt so you can guide it around that water pump there.
Yes, sir.
Crank. That's good.
Yep.
Over there. All right, pull this tensioner back.
All right, I'm gonna try not to lose a finger.
I know, it's a real pinch point right here. Just like that.
There we go.
All right.
We are grooving.
Yeah, this is gonna be a cruiser. You know, we're gonna have air conditioning in this thing and be going up and down the road. We wanna have a nice interior, so we want it kind of quiet on the inside, so you can cruise in peace.
Yeah,
Sort of deal.
we don't want to get too hot as well. We want, you know, these old trucks, they were farm trucks and they weren't really sealed from the factory.
Yeah.
So we want to try to bring a little of the 21st century into this truck.
Yeah, so to do that, we're going to use this boom mat here from Design Engineering. It's going to help, like you said, some of that thermal control and also the acoustics, the sound in there. Now this stuff, it has an adhesive backing there, so before we stick this down, we need to clean this up.
And that's the good stuff. It's got butyl on the back, not asphalt, so it's going to be real nice, clean install.
Yeah, that'll form up really nice. So we'll get this thing wiped down, blown out, and get to sticking.
All right, I'll grab the air.
All right, get our mat installed here.
Yep.
Now, this stuff, you don't have to cover every square inch of the panel for it to work.
No, you just kind of want to focus on the spots that you think are going to be the noisiest or,
Yeah.
you know, take the most heat from the bottom.
Yeah, I think they say 25 to 50% coverage. It gives you the same effect there,
Yeah.
so.
And it's also a good idea to wear some gloves. You know, at the end of it, you don't want to look like Edward Scissorhands' face on your hands.
I hear you, but I'm gonna do my best.
All right.
All right.
To each their own.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to this much done with one full piece before I just start trimming things out.
Yeah.
So pull this
And I like
back.
to peel just a little bit of it.
Yeah.
You know, and then just while you're working it, go ahead and peel because this stuff is super sticky.
Yeah, just gotta watch the edges there because that's metal. It will cut you.
Mm-hmm.
Pull that back a little bit. All right, that one down. You take your little roller here and really oh, look at that. Lined up perfect. Now DEI has also sent us a selection of their heat shroud, and we're going to use that to protect our lines, hoses, and wires from heat and abrasions. Now you could either do 25% coverage or 100% coverage like Anthony has done here. Either way, that's going to keep our cab quiet and comfortable heading down the road.
The best technique for this is when you're rolling it, you just want to be real mad at it. You got to get angry. Ah! Just get that rage in you. Then it lays down just right.
All right, before we head to break, I want to talk about the brakes on the front of the truck. Now, we've showed you the big rotors and 6-piston calipers we got from EBC Brakes, and our hard line we installed up and down the frame rail, but you have to have some type of flexible line to connect the two. So most of your factory vehicles run a rubber style brake line, which is fine until you get into a hard braking event. They tend to swell and that will reduce the brake pedal, giving you a softer brake pedal feel. That's no good when you want to stop the vehicle. So what you can do is upgrade those to a braided stainless steel one like this one from EBC Brakes. Now what that's going to do is when you hit the brakes really hard, they're not going to swell, they're going to keep the shape and they're going to transfer that pressure all the way to the calipers, letting you stop the vehicle. Now, EBC takes these, they'll assemble them in-house, pressure test each one, and they're also DOT approved. So if you want to upgrade your ride, check out EBC and their brake lines. Now, our truck came from the factory with air conditioning, but the last time we had it out, it didn't work. And those factory systems underneath the hood were pretty ugly with all the hoses and wires all over the place. Also, there's been a lot of advancements to these systems over the years. So we're gonna upgrade our heat and air conditioning with this kit from Old Air Products. Now they've sent us everything we need to install this on our truck, all the way from the cooling fans at the radiator to the condenser and even these little trash guards underneath the cowl there. Now whether your truck is equipped with factory AC or it's just a heater style truck, they have everything you need to convert to a modern AC system. And if you're not sure how air conditioning works, well, let's take a look at it. The main objective of the AC system is to remove the heat from inside the cabin and send it outside, and that starts with the compressor, the heart of the system. The compressor sucks in warm refrigerant vapor and discharges a high temperature, high pressure vapor. The refrigerant in its gaseous state enters the condenser where it transfers heat from the refrigerant to the tubes and fins. Then the cooler ambient air passes across the tubes and fins where it absorbs the heat, as heat always transfers from hot to cold. So much heat is removed from the refrigerant that it condenses to a liquid state. That high pressure liquid refrigerant leaves the condenser cooler and enters the receiver filter dryer where the refrigerant passes through a desiccant to remove moisture and a filter. Once it leaves the dryer, it moves to an expansion valve or metering device. This is the restriction in the system that allows pressure change. The refrigerant leaves the valve as a low pressure, low temperature liquid or mist that enters the evaporator, which is inside the cab. The warm air from the cab passes across the tubes and fins and transfers its heat to the cooler refrigerant. The air leaves cooler and the liquid refrigerant evaporates to a gaseous state as it absorbs the heat from the cab and heads back to the compressor. That cool air leaves the vents and keeps us cruising comfortably down the road. Now let's get the evaporator assembly installed. Now the mounting bracket that comes with the kit is already black, but we went ahead and painted it to match our truck. So we'll get this on here, and another thing here is, when you get this on, notice this opening. We went ahead and cut that before we did our body work. So we'll slide this on, and Anthony's gonna slide that evaporator assembly from the inside out. We'll get all the 4 lines poked through here.
I'll start with this black hose here. Through
Yeah, the
hole.
drain tube there. Perfect, got it through.
You know, I like how small this unit is. It really tucks up in here nice and tight.
Yeah, that's the beauty about this unit. It's got the evaporator, it's got the heater core, and the blower motor all contained in that one unit right there. You're still off in the stud here on the bottom.
Yeah, I'm looking. Can you pull that hose?
Looks like it needs to go up.
Hold on. Go ahead, pull it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, just get those nuts on there and leave it, let it have about a 1/4 inch to wiggle room.
Okay.
So we can get this grommet on there. Got them all started?
They're all started.
Let's see here. This will be a fun part.
You can do it, Mike.
Almost there.
Round and third.
Yep. Pop this in the back side of that. All right. Got that in there when we get it tightened up. And then also we have a block off plate for the old blower motor. Once we get the radiator support installed, the radiator on, the condenser, then we can run our lines and finish up that. But that's everything out here.
Yeah.
I think next we can do the wiring.
Yeah, we're pretty wide open underneath this dash. I think it's about time we start getting this wiring conquered.
Yeah, we'll start slinging some wires.
So there's a lot to it. I'm gonna get these tightened up.
Another cool feature about this kit from Old Air Products is they utilize your factory control panel, but they convert all the signals electronically with these potentiometers. That way it gets rid of all those push and pull cables. So let's get this guy installed here. And a couple screws. All right.
So now that we've added this Go Fast goodie on top of our 427, we gotta make sure that the truck can stop. We also wanna clean up the firewall a little bit, getting rid of that factory bulky power brake setup. So what we did is we hit up Summit Racing and they sent us over this Willwood compact tandem master cylinder. Now this is a nice small package that features both the front and rear circuits all combined. Now we also hit up Level 7 Motorsports and they sent us over their billet aluminum firewall adapter. Now this cleans up the firewall and it also gives us a nice sturdy mounting point for the master cylinder. So let's go ahead and let's get it on the truck. All right, so first up we'll get the master cylinder in. Now we're running the factory brake pedal along with the bracket, so it has a nice long stud on it. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and throw our Wilwood proportioning valve that we also got from Summit on next, but make sure you're putting your 2 black billet aluminum washers they give you in the kit first before you put the valve on. Get that on. Go ahead and get our nuts on. This one over here is a little, it's nice and fun to get to, but we'll get it. Get it tightened up. All right, up next, we'll get the fittings in the master cylinder. Just make sure you have the crush washer on it before you install it, because you don't want to have to take it all the way back apart if you don't have that on. Now, when you go to tighten the lines, it'll snug them up more. I'm just trying to get them started. It should be good. Now they give you 2 different lines here. One's a kind of an S-turn and then one's a 90. The S-turn goes towards the front. Get our line wrench, give them a nice little tighten. It's nice they give you this, because sometimes making these little ones can be a bear. All right, so we got our lines all buttoned up. Master cylinder is mounted to the firewall. Now, another cool feature here on this proportioning valve is this pressure sensor that Wilwood already has it mounted on. It gives you a place to hook up your brake lights or whatever else you're gonna need it for. All right, so that's all done. Let's move to the inside and we'll show you how to hook up your brake pedal to the master cylinder. All right, so now that we're back in the truck, we can go ahead and get the brake pedal actually working with the piston on the master cylinder. There's a couple things we have to pay attention to when converting a truck from power brakes to manual. And one of those is called the motion ratio of the pedal. And so what that is, it's a measurement from your pivot point at the top to the center of the pedal. And then it's gonna be another measurement from the pivot point to the mounting location to where it's contacting the piston rod. You're gonna take those 2 measurements, you're gonna divide the long number by the short number, and that's gonna give you your pedal ratio. We wanna be about 6:1 to 7:1 for a manual brake truck. For power brakes, you want to be somewhere from 4:1 to 5:1. I've already drilled our hole, so I've already kind of done this, and we're about 6.2 to 1, which is going to be perfect for what we're trying to get accomplished with this. Now, there's one other thing you have to pay attention to with the master cylinder from Wilwood, and that stroke on that has to go to the end of the stroke, which is 1.1 inches. You have to get the full travel of it, so that way if you have one circuit go bad, you're still gonna be able to get to the second circuit and you're still gonna have brakes in your truck. All right, so let's go ahead and I'll show you how to get this mounted up. Now with a little help from this Wilwood adapter kit, I'm gonna go ahead and use a piece of this all thread along with this clevis. Since this is just a flat bar brake pedal, it makes it nice and simple. Get that in there just like so. Now you want to be careful you don't cross thread this because it'll be easy to do. All right, so now that what we touched base on earlier was this needs to have at least 1.1 inches of travel. Now you need to double check that, make sure you're getting that full travel. And then, but other than that, I mean, this thing's installed and it looks like it's good to go. So with the brake pedal and the bracket installed in the truck, I went ahead and installed our steering column. And for the steering column, we went to Flaming River and they sent us over one of their 2-inch stainless steel columns. Now we got ours with a column shift and in black powder coat. And they also sent us over one of their 2-inch swivel ball floor mounts. Now they're made for the 67 through 72 trucks, so it dropped right into place.
All right. Now, you guys have seen this wheel and tire combination in the background for a while now, but we haven't really addressed it. For our tires, we're going with Continental's Extreme Contact Sport 02s, and up front, it's the 255/40 ZR20. Now, we've used these tires on a lot of different projects here at PowerNation and had great success with this all-season tread.
We have these sticky Continentals wrapped around a set of beautiful shot Fuel D concave wheels. Now we're running a 20x9 up front and a 20x12 out back to handle those big 335 tires. Now we're running their 3-point knockoff center caps. They have a few different options if you don't like those. Plus, you can get these in basically any color you'd ever want on a set of wheels. And man, they really set this truck off.
Yeah, I really like that deep dish package there in the back. It's really nice.
Well, hey guys, welcome to Music City Trucks. And we've been busy in the shop cranking away on Project Cream Puff, and we're finally seeing that finish line in our sights. We got a couple new faces in the shop today. They're gonna help us take this house of color paint to the next level.
Well, you know, we've got a lot of time in the sanding, the primer, and ultimately the paint in this truck, and we want that finish to be over the top. So to help us get there, well, we've got Cole and Rob here from Sonax is going to help us achieve that finish. Rob, thanks so much for coming out. Based upon your initial impressions here, what's your plan of attack to get that surface finish?
Well, the paint looks amazing. We've got a few little small spots that we'll need to wet sand, you know, maybe a 2-step wet sand, and then start bringing it back with a compound and a polish.
Perfect, perfect. Well, we still got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of wiring left to do. I'm gonna let you get to work, and we'll get this thing polished up. Thank you, sir.
So the hood had a little more trash in it, so I'm kind of using it as a test panel. Starting out with some wet sanding and then compounding and polish and trying to iron out the details of how I want to approach this truck. So for the compound, we're using Sonax Ultimate Cut. It removes about P1000 and finer. And then for the polish, we're using Perfect Finish. Now really bring the depth of gloss out of the paint and really show the pearl and the great paint job on this truck.
Here I'm just hitting some little nibs and taking out a little bit of trash that's in the paint. Starting with 1,000, then I'll go to 1,500, and if I need to, I'll probably bump up to about 3,000. The great thing about the Sonax compounds is I've actually seen it remove 1,000 grit sandpaper marks, so it certainly helps the process and speeds things up a ton. So this is Sonax Ultimate Cut. It's a pretty aggressive cutting compound, but really starts the gloss process out. As you can see, I've cut here, removing 3,000 grit sanding marks, and the gloss is already starting to come back with a really aggressive compound using a wool pad. So one of the real attributes to the product.
Man, I tell you what, it sure is nice having somebody else do all the work.
So we're just finishing up with Perfect Finish. It's our best-selling polish. It's amazing on all types of paint, 50-year-old paint, new fresh paint. We get a lot of comments that people will call and say, it's the only thing I can find that really works with black paint, especially GM paint. It's an amazing polish. It's got some abrasives in it, so it'll finish that cutting process, but finishes out absolutely amazing.
Well, it looks like you boys are just about finished up, and I'm tell you what, this truck's looking killer now.
Yeah, no, we came in and the truck obviously looked amazing when we got here, but you know, using the Sonax polishes just kind of takes it to that next level. So we certainly appreciate the opportunity.
The pearls coming out of this thing right now, I cannot wait to get this thing outside. It's gonna really come to life. I see you've got a couple of little goodies sitting on top of the bed here. What do you got?
Yeah, we brought these. These are literally brand new products that we brought into the United States from Sonax, and 5-year coating. We're gonna leave this with you. Once you get this thing put back together, literally put it on, leaves an amazing gloss and great protection for up to 5 years. And then the ceramic coating, this literally has just gotten here in the last few days. So do the same thing for up to a year.
And that's for wheels?
For wheels, yeah. I mean, it'll take those and really make those things pop.
I know on my truck, one of my least favorite things to do is polishing wheels, and I think that'll help me go a little bit longer before I have to do it.
For sure, yeah. No, we'll leave these with you, and like I said, once you get it put back together, you can do it in probably less than an hour, and leave that protection once this thing hits the road and you guys are out having fun with it.
Wow, I can't wait for that day. We still got a little bit more work to do, but we're almost there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, we appreciate you boys coming in today.
Yes, sir.
Rob, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, sir, man.
We'll have to get you out when they get this thing outside so
do
you
it.
guys can check it out.
Yep.
It'll look great
Right.
outside.
I can't wait. Now with them boys from Sonax cutting and buffing this truck to perfection, we were able to get all our bright work and trim installed on the truck. Now we have a few more things to do, and that's gonna start on the inside.
And to start off on the interior, we installed this carpet kit from TMI. And then we added some kick panel speakers and some speakers in the cab corners as well. But then for our gauges, well, we picked up this instrument cluster here from Dakota Digital. Now this is their RTX series, and what I really like about this setup, it utilizes information from the Phytech fuel injection computer to supply the data for all the gauges. So what that means is you don't have to add any extra sensors, or reduces the wiring as well. So it's a little bit easier to install. So we'll just drop this in and plug in a couple of connectors, and we're good to go. Another cool feature about this gauge is it has an app you can get on your phone to help with setting it all up. All right, let's fire this thing up and put it in demo mode, and you can see all these fancy features here. Set up, demo mode, release, begin. All right, check it out. Has a lot of different options with the colors, the information you can display. So yeah, this is demo mode. It'll go through and cycle everything. You can see it. Its availability's there. Pretty cool little feature there. So now we'll just calibrate our clock, odometer, things like that, get the speedometer set up. We should be ready to rock and roll.
Now this thing's looking killer, Jonas.
Yeah, it turned out nice.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this thing in the truck. Well, a little while back, we went ahead and went up to Kentucky and dropped off all of our C10 parts with the boys over at Auto Customs. We got Eric and Jonas here today. Man, you guys really knocked this out of the park. Man, Mike, you got to come check this thing out.
I'll tell you what,
Look at that.
we sent you a stock bench seat, but this can't be the same one.
It's not.
The exact same seat.
it's the
Is
same.
it?
Yes.
Just the frame, I guess, but you
Just
changed
frame.
everything.
It's
Yeah,
got
it's
all
killer.
new contoured foam, bolstered it up for
the
you, the hose
bolsters.
is steel.
What about this stitching? That's all CNC?
That's the CNC pattern y'all picked, yeah.
I mean, it's got that sport truck feel with the bolsters to hold you in place, but still got that bench seat flavor there.
What about these little goodies here? Does that say Music City Trucks?
That's what it says.
Wow.
I tell you
That
what,
is
we gave
awesome.
them a lot of creative leeway there, and you picked up that interpretation and just did a great job with these seats here.
Yeah, got a
absolutely
sporty
beautiful.
stock look to it.
Yeah, but it looks like we're going to be planted in it because this thing's got some power, so we're going to need it.
Yeah.
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 What else we got here?
And then they did the door panels as well. You know, we went ahead and put power windows in, and we knew we had the switches there, so we went ahead and sent them the switches for the power windows. They integrated that into the door panel itself.
See, we got the same suede here on the insert.
On the insert as well as the headliner.
Yeah, we did the headliner in suede, so it would, matched the door inserts, and then we did some visors with yellow stitching as well.
Yeah.
And the armrests.
And the armrest too.
The
yeah.
doors, yeah, to kind of tile it together. And
But we didn't send you these pieces.
no, actually, we made these pieces.
made those
Yeah, these
for-
are custom door panel bottoms.
Yeah, so they'll go on the bottom side
Go on
here.
the bottom of the door.
So
Yeah.
you're going to get a full door panel out of
Yeah,
it.
and we did it with the matching CNC, like the seat and everything. So
Right.
It'll all tie together real
Perfect.
nice.
That,
Beautiful.
Had that pattern there.
What about your box of tools? You guys bring them so you can help us get them in the truck?
Forgot our tools.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Hey.
No
The good
tools.
thing is, you probably shouldn't need too many tools. Nothing fancy.
No, I mean, other than a box cutter just to get them out of the box, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
There you go.
right on.
Well, thank you
boys,
so much.
We appreciate it,
Appreciate
Jonas.
it.
Thank you, brother. I mean, you guys knocked it out of the park.
All right.
Can't wait to get in the truck.
Get it
Putting
in.
it all in.
That time? Let's get him in the truck.
All right, we'll get our power window switch hooked up here. There. All right, switch is in. Now let's pop our door panel on here. All right, get that in there. Let me go grab the armrest and that lower piece. Rock and roll. Okay.
Mike, I think you're beating me.
One step at a time.
Though I think maybe you started before me.
Yep. Yep. I gotta get these screws to line up here. All right. Get our
You
lower
about done
skin
over
on.
there, Mike?
Yes. Yes.
Usually you're beating me. You're Mr. Pit
Well.
Crew over there. You got that pit crew speed.
Oh man, lined up perfect. Never drilled those holes.
Perfection.
Spot on.
Oh, that looks good.
That definitely adds a little different character to it, that lower skin there. All right, release handle, and that looks like it.
I already got mine on over here.
Get our decorative clips. Bazinga.
All right, live with your legs.
I didn't listen to that.
Are you gonna throw your back out, buddy? You been going to gymnastics class with your daughters?
Oh, this is awkward.
It'd be paying off right now.
Let's see here. Ah, all right, I'm in. Yep. Walk
Just a
it.
little wiggle.
Just wiggle.
Wiggle with it.
Wiggle. Lean with it. Rock with it. All right, we're through. No major damage.
Look at that.
That's good. All right, bolt it down.
How you looking?
It's spot on. I mean, that's a good thing about using the factory seat. The factory frame is
Everything
factory.
just lines
Yeah,
up.
factory bolt holes there.
Yeah, sometimes doing all the custom stuff can really be a pain in the butt after you're doing final assembly.
This one's not a pain in the butt. It's really comfortable for the butt.
That's good, Mike. I'll tell you what, Mike. I love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah, I tell you what, headliner, sun visors, ready to rock and roll.
I think that's about it. Now, we only have a couple of things left to do before we can finally fire this beast up. And one of the most important is topping it off with some oil. And for our oil, we're using Schaefer's Supreme 7000 Premium Racing Oil. Now, it's a high zinc, anti-foaming, high detergency oil that's gonna keep all of our internals well lubricated. It's specially formulated for high horsepower and boosted applications such as ours, including those with flat tappet cams. We like to run it in all of our projects here at Music City Trucks because it keeps them all running smoothly. Yo, Mike, you about ready in there?
Yep, a few more things here. Now, for our engine management system, we're utilizing Phytech's Ultimate LS kit. Now, you've seen this engine run before over at Engine Power when they set this thing up, but we've added a few things like a supercharger and some larger fuel injectors. So we need to recalibrate the whole tune-up to make sure it makes sense. So I'm gonna walk you guys through setting that up. All right, to get your Phytech set up, well, you got your handheld hooked up here. And first thing you need to do is go down to right cal to ECU. That gives you your base setup there, your file area to save it to. So select that, select your engine combination, go ahead and send it to the computer and it will build the file. Then you come back and you get specific with it. You go back up here to your dashboard, initial setup right here, number 4. Open that up, and then you can fine tune your engine, the engine size, your fuel injectors, if it's naturally aspirated or supercharged, and then send that to the computer as well. You can go to the transmissions, fine tune that gear ratio, tire sizes, all to match up to your application right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do all that, and then we'll turn the key. Hopefully this thing starts up. All right, send that one.
Well, I say that's a success.
That's a success. Well, let's get this thing outside, let it run a little bit longer, maybe get it down the road.
I think it's about time. Well, as you can see sitting behind me, we finally got old Cream Puff out of our shop, and now it's sitting on Engine Power's chassis dyno. Where Pat and Frankie, well, they're gonna tell us what our ProCharge 427, how much power it's putting to the pavement. What do you think, Mike?
I don't know, I tell you what, if we get anything over 600 horsepower to the tires, I think I'll be happy with the power output.
I mean, obviously I'd like to have a little more than that.
Oh, yeah.
But 600, I think that'd be pretty good.
Right. Well, let's crank it up and see what we can do.
Let's do it.
37 pound-feet. Nice smooth grab.
All right, I think we're good. One
You
and
don't want to
done.
make one?
That's perfect.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's what you call a one and done.
That's one and done?
I mean, does it go any easier than that?
I mean, if your goal was only 600 wheel, I mean, we're way past that.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll take
I
it.
should have fan up.
I'll take it,
We
right?
could,
That's making power there.
I mean, we could tweak on this thing, but honestly, the tune-up is set relatively safe. I went over it, it looks good.
Yeah.
We could get more aggressive, but being that this is mostly a street truck, from what I understand, there's really not a huge point, especially on pump gas. We always stress that leaving stuff relatively safe is not a bad idea.
Right.
If you run this thing hot, you get a bad batch of gas, something like that. We want to have it on the conservative side so it can't hurt itself. But I mean, even conservatively, you know, it's making 680 wheels.
I'll take
so.
that conservatively every single day.
Well, I'm tired of being in here. Let's take it to the street and see what it feels like.
Are you ready to go?
Let's get it out there.
Let's get it off this. Get it out there.
Our job was so easy today.
I didn't do nothing. This is great. Yeah.
Oh, I love it when a plan comes together.
All right, Anthony. Well, we got old Cream Puff back out on the road.
Just got out of the gas station and we're finally hitting the road.
Yeah.
And so far, this thing feels pretty damn awesome, I must say.
Yeah, this thing has turned out sweet between that paint job, the stance. Oh man, this is the perfect cruiser.
Yeah, I mean, it's the perfect cruiser, but it has more than enough to make it something just a little bit more than that.
Yeah, so far, you know, we were getting this thing out, we're shaking it down, checking for, you know, leaks, checking for noises, things like that. So far, everything's been great.
Yeah, it seems to be driving straight. I mean, feels like we're riding on air. You know what I mean? This thing feels awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's driving right now. I think we're, what, about 45 miles an hour?
Yeah, just about 45. We're tacking, what, 1,800 RPM?
Yeah, so cruising down through here, we got the AC going. One, it's really hot outside. And two, well, if we roll the windows down, you won't be able to hear us because this exhaust is loud, kind of like that paint job. I mean, everywhere we drive, everybody's been looking at it, giving us a thumbs up, stuff like that.
It's hard not to stare at it with how bright it is. It's like you're looking at the sun when it's outside.
That sun hits it, just changes the depth of it tremendously.
Yeah. The way the pearl pops, I mean, it just comes to life.
Right.
And depending on where you're standing, it's a completely different color.
It looks like green, it looks yellow, looks gold. You know, there's a lot of different colors going on right there.
Yeah, I mean, that flop you get outside with that house of colors, there's just nothing better.
Right, right. It turned out awesome. I'm glad we went with that combination there. So. But everything's good. You know, we've got the manual brakes. And tell me, how does it feel?
Honestly, when a manual brake setup is set up correctly, I think it feels better than power brakes.
Yeah.
You're so much more connected to the car
Right.
that you just know where you're at all times. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it stops. I mean, the size of the rotors on this truck are massive.
Yeah.
And this thing, you feel it.
It definitely stops right there. And it goes. You know, we got that ProCharger, Supercharger on this thing.
Well, I don't know if I can show you how it goes right now. We got the fuzz coming up on our tail.
Yeah. So we got to be careful around there.
And I know he's noticed us. There ain't no missing us.
Yeah. But yeah, that ProCharger, Supercharger, we got the intercooler on. So we're getting that cool supercharged air going to the engine. It's made a huge difference with this 427, just waking it up. I mean, boost, can't go wrong with boost.
If I could have boost in everything that I own, I would. It's so good.
Even on the lawnmower, right?
That's right.
Yep. Get that lawn cut a whole lot quicker. Right
That'd be nice.
Driving this thing, I was kind of skeptical about the air ride suspension. Never done too much of the air ride. I kind of aired with the whole, static setup.
Yeah.
But this ride is super smooth.
I mean, it's super smooth, but it still handles, and that's what I really. And then plus, on top of that, since we have that E-level system, it's constantly making adjustments. So it's keeping us level, and it's keeping us right in the sweet spot of where we set it to be at.
Yeah, but all the engineering that Porterbuilt's done with the front end, the back end, the Watts link in the back, all the control arms, they're set up and everything with that air ride suspension.
Yeah.
It's perfect. You can tell that they've done their homework.
Well, when you've been in the air ride game as long as Porterbuilt has, you know that you're going to be getting the best, and you're going to be putting the best on your truck.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we did with this.
Yeah,
This thing handles great, rides smooth. I mean, Couldn't ask for anything else.
Right. No, I'm definitely impressed with it.
There's nothing better.
Right, right. The wheels, those shot wheels, you know, looking at those, you look at them online, like on the computer, like, oh, that looks good, but until you get it on here and get the whole stance, I mean, it is perfect. Those wheels look great. I like that big look in the back, how wide that tire is in the back.
Yeah, you can never go wrong with the 335.
You know, we got a few more miles to put on this thing, get it shake down, you know, check everything out. Probably need to go break in the tires as well.
We definitely need to break in the tires. Just make sure that, you know, everything's working correctly.
Yeah. You know, when you do a burnout, you know, make sure it goes straight.
Go straight.
You know, if it goes sideways, you might need to adjust some stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best way to feel all the suspension components out.
Yeah.
Ready?
Let it rip.
Wow.
I thought it was a sunny day, but it turned into a cloudy day.
I think they're broken in. It sure looks like it behind us. Oh, I could do that all day, every day. Some trucks are built to work, others are built to turn heads. But every now and then, one manages to do both. Cream Puff does that.
When we first got our hands on this old C10, it was definitely Paw Paw's pickup. Faded paint, a dated interior, and that oversized houndstooth bench seat told the story of years spent working hard. The long bed was great for hauling on the farm, but the style wasn't exactly its strong suit. And under the hood, a tired V8 had seen better days. So we set out to change all that.
What started out as a worn-out farm truck became a complete ground-up transformation. Every detail was carefully chosen to create a truck that demands attention wherever it goes.
The House of Color Pearl two-tone paint delivers a bold, unmistakable presence. In the sun, the finish comes alive. We topped it all off with new trim and moldings from Brothers Trucks, giving old Cream Puff a look that's equal parts classic and custom.
Inside, the custom one-off interior from Auto Customs brings the perfect combination of style, attitude, and craftsmanship. Every surface reflects the vision we had from the very beginning.
Out back, the bedwood floor adds a touch of sophistication and perfectly complements the truck's stunning paint scheme. It's the kind of detail that separates a good build from a great one.
Of course, looking good is only part of the equation. We also upgraded the worn-out braking system with an EBC balanced brake kit, paired with a manual brake setup, giving Cream Puff the stopping power to match its new personality. Today, this C10 checks every box. It's powerful, stylish, dependable, and built to be enjoyed. After all the hard work, late nights, and attention to detail, it's time to enjoy the rewards.
Cream Puff is more than a restored truck. It's proof that with the right vision, even an old farm pickup can become something truly unforgettable. And honestly, who wouldn't want this sitting in their garage?